guys, and welcome to the Stardom Cast, your weekly audio source of all things World Wonder Ring Stardom. I'm your host, Rob Goodwin, and I am joined as ever by the man, the myth, the legend. It is Mr. Matt Turner. Matt Turner, how are you, my friend? One more week closer to the Tam Nakano retirement match.
Supposedly. We'll get into that. Yeah, obviously we have a lot to talk about. As of this recording, we are 1 month of the day away from All-Star Grand Queendom, which means we are less than a month from us getting on our respective planes to heading to Sin City, Las Vegas, Nevada. Obviously, a lot of stuff to talk about today. Obviously, we will be spending a bulk of this conversation, this podcast, talking about, I guess, not only do we want Mina, but I guess Tony Khan wants Mina Shirakawa. Again, we'll get into that before Rob Goodwin. Let's start off this podcast with some positivity. What do you think about that? What about we do some congratulations? Should we start with some congratulations?
Why the hell not? Why not?
Let's do 3 congratulations. My first 2 congratulations will be to my friends, Brett Pastore and Elijah Harris, who won their pro fights this past weekend. Brett won. He fought for, I believe it was Fight Fury FC, who was run by the UFC Fight Pass. He had a dominant unanimous decision win. And then Elijah, Rob, I don't know if you've seen this because a lot of people seen this. He made his debut for Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship, set the record for fastest knockout in the history of the company.
Yes, I have seen this on Twitter. I did not know you knew him.
Yeah, I do catch wrestling with both of them. Obviously, Brett is a world, and he's fought in one championship fighting. He's fought all over the world. He's currently in Albuquerque training with the fight team out there that wins all the championships. John Wink. That's where he trains out of. But Elijah, again, I've been fortunate enough to grapple with these guys a little bit during my catch wrestling camps. I didn't know he had those hands just because I only do catch wrestling with them. But the fact that I was like, oh, geez, like he's a world-class, jiu-jitsu, grappler, catch wrestling, but he knocked that guy out in like 4 seconds. And I was like, wow, how about that? I figured everybody's seen it because it's literally the fastest clip. And I was like, it was so funny. I was getting ready to go to bed, and this one Facebook group chat that me and Andy Header, and somebody sent a message like, did you see that guy knocked that guy out in 4 seconds in bare knuckle fighting? I was just getting ready to go to bed. I messaged, I said, my buddy Elijah's fighting on that card. Like, that's who was in the fight. I'm like, oh, did he win? He's like, yeah, he's the one. I said, oh, well, how about that? So that was really cool. Again, congratulations to both those fantastic, hardworking gentlemen on their fights this past weekend. Rob Goodwin, my final congratulations of the start of this show is congratulations to the career of the notorious 187 Homicide, who retired this past weekend. Homicide, to say that he was good to me and all the Ring of Honor students would be an understatement. Just a great guy and just a phenomenal wrestler, former Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Champion. I believe is a former TNA X Division champion. So Homicide had his final match this past weekend, and just want to put out congratulations and well wishes to the notorious 187 Homicide, Rob.
Congratulations to Homicide on a storied career, certainly, and obviously a huge pivotal part of LAX, which was a massive part of TNA when I was watching. So, huge congratulations to him. But other than that, my friend, how are you?
I'm great, buddy. Always good. Things are really well. We're rocking and rolling. Just getting a lot of stuff done. I mean, always busy. Podcast is busy. Shoot job's busy. Side job's busy. But I can't complain. Things are really well. The weather's finally breaking a little bit. Last week it was about 70. And then yesterday on my way home from work, it started to snow. So, that's just northeastern Pennsylvania this time of the year. We are officially in spring, but doesn't mean we're out of the cold season yet. But no, brother, you know me. Life is blessed. A lot of great wrestling shows watching and whatnot. But how's everything in your neck of the woods?
Yeah, not too bad. I promised I would tell this anecdote because it's literally made me laugh for the last half an hour, probably longer than that. So me and Kirsty have cooked our evening meal today, whether you call it dinner or whether you call it tea, wherever you're listening. But we cooked something called Bang Bang Chicken. Now, the reason it's called Bang Bang Chicken is because it's spicy, it's crunchy, It's nutty and nice. Throw some spring onions in there, some carrots, some cucumber. Really, really, really nice. Anyway, so one of the core ingredients is pepper. So we got some peppercorns, and obviously you have to ground those peppercorns. Now, I turned round and Kirsty said, "This is why I need a pestle and mortar," which is the weirdest thing I've ever heard her say. And she's there grinding down all the peppercorns in this small bowl with what I didn't realize at the time was the empty pepper grinder. So she's grinding away, and she's like, "It's not working. There's too much of a dip in it." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, fine." So we were finding flat things. Turn back round, was chopping away at some garlic. Turned back round, and Kirsty had produced a hammer from somewhere and was banging the peppercorns in the bowl in an attempt. I was like, no, this is not what it means by bang, bang chicken, Kirsty, right? Put the hammer down. Yeah, Cactus Jack style. So anyway, we had a laugh about the hammer. She washed the hammer and put it the hell down. And we sort of crushed all the peppercorns. It took ages, right? About 5 minutes later, it turned out that she had been crushed. She'd emptied all the peppercorns into this bowl out of an actual pepper grinder. So
you had it right there.
All we had to do was keep it in that tub. That was what she was using to try and smash them all to pieces in the first place. It was the pep. I was like, "Why did you empty them then?" And she went, "Oh, I don't know." So we then had to put all of these half smooshed peppercorns back into the pepper grinder that they should have been in the first place, and then ground them. It was an eventful mealtime, Matt.
Rob, what do I say? You live and you learn. So now next time you have that, you'll be right there. You're right there. So hey, that's okay. But what I want to know, and I'm sure all of our listeners want to know, how was the meal though? I mean, obviously the preparation, it should have been steps 1, 2, 3, 4. You did steps 1, 2, 2A, 2B, 2C. Yes. But how was, after everything was done, how was your meal?
Yeah, she did go cooking step 1, Z, Batman symbol, Q, 2, 4. Yeah, it was lovely. Really, really nice. It is always really, really nice when we make that. But yeah, it was just rather entertaining, I thought. But yes, aside from that, things are good. Can't complain. 3 weeks out from Las Vegas, we've got a whole host of news to come from that. And obviously, the Stardom Cast warning of never use a hammer to do your cooking. But yeah, Matt, before we get into all of this news and the big thing that dropped, we thought we would be talking mostly about the Stardom talent in Vegas, and we will still spend a chunk of time on that because there's weirdly more about who isn't going than who is going, I think.
But we're going.
We're going.
That's important. We're going, folks. There you go. High fives are free. Just want to let everybody know. High fives are free.
For Matt, anyway, I'm charging. But yes, obviously, as well, Stardom decided to terrify the entire Joshi fan base by putting out, right, we're doing a press conference with no additional information whatsoever. I think it was Kevin said this is the equivalent of the New Japan white logo on the black background thing, and you know something's gone wrong. So yeah, obviously we'll talk about that.
My social media, I'm sure yours did as well.
Yeah, it was.
Blew up. They're like, what is it? What is it? What is it? I'm like, we don't really have too much inside information. And again, we're not stooges. So it's kind of like, it could be one of a, I mean, you were texting back and forth. It probably it's either this or this. And it wind up, obviously we'll get into it. It wind up being one of the things we thought it was going to be. But I was like, yeah, they're selling the company to MLW. I think that's what I told somebody. I was like, no, that's not what it is.
Yeah, so obviously we will talk a lot, I imagine, about Mina Shirakawa. We have got the 2 Okinawa pay-per-views to talk about. We have got New Blood in the books. Neither of us have had time to watch the full show yet, so we won't be reviewing that.
I did watch the opener, and let me tell you, the new rookie in Rena, like it wasn't Steamboat Savage, but I was like, how is this the third match? Again, we'll cover that next week, buddy. I only watched that first match.
I'm so excited for Ankanai. I think she's looked tremendous in these first couple of matches. They've again, Stardom have captured a really, really special rookie in Ankanai. But yeah, we're going to be talking about those two shows. Obviously, Stardom today have announced the cards for the weekend's shows into Kurosawa and Hashioji, and the full card for Korakuen Hall on the 2nd of April as well, the next Korakuen Night show. All of that to come, as well as a good old dose of Stardom Cast humor. But before we get into any of that, Mr. Turner, what, pray tell, is coming up on our Patreon this week?
Patreon this week, our alternate commentary that we just released, myself and Rob Goodwin go back to the finals of the 2022 Cinderella tournament as Syuri defends the World of Stardom Championship against the Jumbo Princess, one Himeka. It's always a blast calling those matches with you, especially going and watching some of Himeka's fantastic professional wrestling matches. Also this week, literally just a few hours ago, myself and Andy Hitter, we released our review of Jungle Kyona versus Momo Watanabe, our rivalry review. We go back and talk about the two fantastic Wonder of Stardom Championship matches from Momo and Jungle Kyona. And also, as a bonus, Rob Goodwin, we cover the return for one night only, J.K. Green, in the beginning of 2020, reuniting on Kagetsu's retirement match against Kagetsu and Mayu Iwatani. We cover all that. Now, we are missing the match from, I believe, fall of 2016 because Rob Goodwin, as you know, and a lot of our longtime listeners know, 2016 on Stardom World, little tricky to find. So we did make mention on the Patreon episode, and we'll make mention it here. If anybody can find us a link for that match, send it to me or send it to Andy or send it to Rob, and Rob will send it to me. And Andy and I will be doing a watch along for all of our Patreon members of said match. So again, if you can find a link to that match in fall of 2016, just let me know and send it over, and we'll do that for all of our Patreon members. Also, myself and Rob Goodwin, maybe the biggest what if Stardom Cast history. What if Azumi did win the Cinderella tournament and we don't have any specific year? It was basically whatever year you want to book. So myself and Rob, we recorded that earlier this week. It'll be up on your Patreon feeds sometime this weekend. And then by the end of this weekend, myself and Andy Header will release our top 5 favorite Cinderella tournament matches as part of our roundtable discussion. And then sometime next week, myself and Andy Header will be doing a review of Mariah May's entire run in the 2023 5-Star Grand Prix. I just started the homework for that. And let me tell you something, buddy. That match he has with Azumi on night 1, you want to talk about a hidden gem of a match that kind of gets lost in the shuffle of that loaded show that is night 1 of the 2023 5-Star Grand Prix. So that'll be in your feed sometime next weekend, looking back at Mariah May's run in the 2023 5-Star Grand Prix, as well as our alternate commentary next week. Myself and Rob Goodwin, we're going to Budokan, folks. We're going to Budokan Hall for All-Star Dream Cinderella, as myself and Rob will call all the hard-hitting action with Nanae Takahashi versus Momo Watanabe. And then probably during this segment next week, I'll have the entire calendar for the month of April, what we're going to do. But a lot of April, folks, you're going to have to bear with us. It is going to be card subject to change, as myself and Rob are. Obviously, as you know, we're going to be away for a week in Las Vegas. I'm going to try to get some of the recording done this weekend and some of it done early next weekend, just to kind of bank a whole bunch of episodes. And this way we might have Andy Header basically just firing off episodes left and right while he's home in northeastern Pennsylvania, and me and you are covering 2 or 3 shows, I think, that we're going to WrestleMania weekend, buddy.
Just a couple.
But yeah, lots of good stuff that's on the Patreon, lots of good stuff coming up in the future. And again, this time next week, I'll have a general idea of what we're doing for the month of April. Again, if things are late or they don't come out until sometime in May, just bear with us, folks. But again, whether you're on the dollar tier, $3, $5, $10 tier, we want to make sure you'll be getting more bang for your buck, because we pride ourselves on that. And again, we thank to all of our fantastic Patreon members, brother.
Absolutely. Thank you to everyone over on patreon.com/the Stardom Cast. And don't forget that all of those episodes, everything that Matt has just mentioned, and all of our archived episodes as well, are available for individual purchase for $3. So if there's something you fancy listening to that's on a tier above you that you don't want to go onto the tier above, we completely get that. However, you can purchase that for a sole fee, which is I think tremendous value. Let's kick into some news then. And Matt Turner, in the words of Cody Rhodes, so what do you guys want to talk about? So obviously we did mention earlier on that Stardom decided they were going to try and scare the Joshi fan base to death. With
close.
that,
They did pretty close.
Yeah, with that cryptic post about the press conference. Thankfully, because I do wonder how it would have impacted my sleep, Tokyo Sports broke the news before the press conference dropped that Mina Shirakawa will be leaving Stardom officially. She will not be renewing her contract, and that contract ends on March 31st. Initially, Tokyo Sports said it was likely that she would be going to AEW. She then confirmed in the press conference the next day that she is going to AEW. Again, she was prominently used in 2024 throughout the summer, really, during the Mariah May and the Toni Storm storyline. Of course, I don't know if it was the main event. I can't remember off the top of my head, but Winter is Coming, where she had that AEW Women's World Championship match against Mariah May.
It was
right. And of course, wrestled Toni Storm on the Forbidden Door show as well. So was prominently used, has been over the last year split between the two companies, which I think really hasn't been the best for her. And I don't think either company has really got the best of Mina as a result of this split. She's not finishing up with the company on March 31st. She will still wrestle a couple of matches in Japan. Her last match in Japan has been confirmed for the 2nd of April, where she'll be wrestling Maika in singles action. Maika, bless her, who just seems to be running out of friends. She seems to build connections and then they just leave. So that is obviously the last match in Japan. She is still doing the 2 Stardom shows in Las Vegas on the 17th and the 18th, which means that Mina Shirakawa's final scheduled show as a member of the Stardom roster is going to be April 18th. Now, this has led to a lot of discussion online. We know that Mina had been pulled from the Spark Joshi meet and greets, which was an interesting turn of events. This was then followed by Mina being announced for a Pride Style Pro Wrestling show, which I believe was also on the 18th. She was pulled from that, but was then almost immediately after that then announced for WrestleCon, the meet and greets over at WrestleCon. So things weren't quite adding up before the announcement of the press conference. Now, eventually, it was very much a case of, I bet this is about Mina, and I bet we're going to have some clarity on that. Now, before we get into all the ins and the outs and what this means and how Tony Khan is the devil incarnate.
Stop.
Well, again, I feel like social media fell into 2 camps. Now, a lot of people fell into, this is a great opportunity for Mina. I mean, she's 37 years old, came into wrestling a little bit later, connected with an international audience, is going over to AEW to wrestle in front of a bigger television audience on a less strenuous schedule for more money. Like, it's a no-brainer. It really, really is. If you can do it, go for it. And again, we've always said, like, we're never, ever, ever going to start bad-mouthing wrestlers who want to go and better themselves and be given these phenomenal opportunities. We didn't do it when Julia left. You know, we're not going to do it now that Mina's left. You know, more power to her. And genuinely, I hope she is, you know, she's going to have a fantastic run there. But then, of course, there are some on social media who see sort of the relationship between AEW and Stardom as a very one-sided relationship. And again, you know, we've seen it with New Japan and a lot of wrestlers leaving New Japan to go to AEW, and people are obviously seeing that now with Stardom as well and are a little bit concerned about Tony Khan simply looking at Stardom talent and going, right, I want them. I want them. I want them. I want them. Obviously, we'll talk about that in a little bit, Matt. But obviously, what are your thoughts on Mina Shirakawa finishing up with Stardom and going to AEW? I don't think this comes as a massive shock.
No, again, there's a lot to talk about here. First, I kind of want to back up, my man. The her last show is what's going on over here, buddy? You getting a treat? I remember one time you got churros. I remember the one time you got churros. Oh, folks, ladies and gentlemen, if you were watching on YouTube, ladies, first of all, Rob is blowing kisses, and he has the new mug. He is a Stardom Cast guy. He's also wearing the Hazuki Mode shirt, which if you click on the link below, you can get on our brand new store. Yes, our 32-bit Hazuki shirt. And again, I may as well shill while we're here. You can also get the 32-bit Utami Hayashishita shirt, Micah shirt, and Knott's 2-poi shirt. Obviously, she's Knott's no-poi now, but she will always forever be Knott's 2-poi. Anywho, Rob Goodwin.
Absolutely.
Anywho, I just want to back up. You said her actual last show for Stardom is 4/6 in Anjo, which I believe is the Tam Homecoming show. That's what they announced on the press conference, that her last show in Stardom is on 4/6, which my guess
I meant the last Korakuen show. I didn't mean last in Japan. I meant last in Korakuen.
No problem, buddy. That's what we're here to do. We're here to not only shill our merchandise.
Absolutely.
Speaking of merchandise, folks, don't forget to get your Chasing the Dream Stardom 10th anniversary in review from one Rob Goodwin. Anywho, back to the topic at hand. My guess on that show on the 6th is she's probably going to wrestle Tam. I think that would probably be the way to go. It's interesting to see, and it's going to be really cool. And again, me and you talked about this off air. It's going to be really cool the fact that we're going to see Mina's last match in Stardom because it's happening in Las Vegas. But it's going to be interesting to see who she's wrestling against because, like, her biggest and best feuds are Tam, Sayaka Mitani. They're not Eddie Murphy or Arsenio Hall coming to America. But again, we'll get into more of that. But like Mina leaving, going to AEW, we really weren't too shocked about just because of she's been on AEW TV, AEW pay-per-view quite a bit over the last handful of months. She wasn't in the 5-Star Grand Prix. She wasn't in the Goddesses of Stardom Tag League. And we were kind of scratching our heads like, how come you're not putting Mina in 2 of your biggest tournaments of the year? She's going to draw tickets, and she's going to help the tournament be even better because she's a phenomenal in-ring talent. Then maybe if you now you take a step back, knowing what we know now that she is signing with AEW or she has already signed with AEW, maybe it was something that she said like, look, I'm probably leaving once my contract is up. Give said spot to somebody else and let them get an opportunity. That's a really good possibility. But as far as with Tony Khan looking at certain Stardom talent, Rob, you know this, and any of our longtime listeners know that one of the main reasons I fell in love with Stardom as fast and as hard as I did is it reminded me so much of ECW back in the late 90s and so much of Ring of Honor in the early 2000s. So what I mean by that is, and don't get me wrong, folks, I love the big companies. I love WCW, WWF, WWE, AEW. I love all sorts of wrestling companies, but I like what Stardom brought to the table. Again, when I watched ECW in the 90s, when I watched Ring of Honor in the 2000s, it was the best wrestling company bell to bell, giving you the best matches and the best product. You have wrestlers wrestling in front of a couple hundred people, or sometimes on the bigger shows, especially for ECW, a couple thousand people, and you are getting more than your money's worth. They are leaving it all out there in the ring. Nobody's dogging it. You're getting 110% from the opening match to the end match. Now, there's so many similarities in ECW and Ring of Honor that we're now starting to see bleed over into Stardom. And what I mean by that is ECW and Ring of Honor, the talent got a little bit too big to the point where the big companies kept knocking. And you look at ECW, Malenko, Benoit, Guerrero, Mysterio, Jericho, Psychosis, the list goes on and on and on. Where'd they go? WCW, WWE. Obviously, your bigger companies, you're going to be making more money. What happened to Ring of Honor? Danielson, AJ Styles, CM Punk, Samoa Joe, Nigel McGuinness, so on and so forth. Those guys got so good and the company got so hot and there was so much buzz, the bigger companies started to take notice. And again, you look at this roster, what this roster is, literally from the newest rookie all the way to Sayaka Mitani, this roster is insanely loaded. And now the fact that we have this partnership with Stardom and AEW, we're seeing Stardom talent on AEW TV having matches that are, but people are like, who is that? I've never seen this Momo Watanabe is amazing. This Azumi, there's nobody in wrestling like that. Eventually, they're starting to get in front of more and more eyes. The contracts come and said way. There's going to be more money, less dates. Makes sense. And I just wondering if this is what's going now. Majority of these wrestlers now, because contract season is just about over, except for one other person, and we'll get into that. So majority of these wrestlers are probably locked up for another year. But what's to say what's going to happen in next year's time? What's to say? Because 90% of this talent will blow away any other talent on any wrestling show in the United States, not just in the women's division. I'm talking about overall. So again, the Stardom division, the Stardom roster is getting it's so talented and so big, and there's so much buzz on Stardom that of course the big companies are going to take notice. And Mina Shirakawa got taken notice back roughly around a year or so ago, the end of spring, beginning of summer. So it was something that we weren't surprised that when she left, but we're still would have loved to see her stay in Stardom. But regardless, you can't fault her for that. She's going to be making more money. She's going to be working with her friends over there, Tony Storm, or from what we understand, Mercedes Moné was a big factor in her going. She's going to be working with obviously Mariah May, and supposedly Mariah May is in a contract year, which that I don't understand because most contracts in AEW are 3 to 5 years, but maybe, I don't know, maybe she just did 2 years. But supposedly, if the rumors are true that Mariah May is in a contract year, this is a big pull to get her buddy Mina Shirakawa over. Like, hey, you're going to go to WWE. Are you going to stay with us? It's like, oh, by the way, we're bringing your buddy Mina Shirakawa over. So, yeah, good on her. But, yeah, I would not be shocked around this time next year the fact that you're going to have these bigger companies maybe start knocking on the door for some of the Stardom talents. Again, we've seen it. I just mentioned ECW, Ring of Honor. We saw it a handful of years ago in New Japan, where New Japan lost Anderson, Gallows, AJ Styles, and Nakamura all in one fell swoop because they're getting too good. They're not flying under the big corporate wrestling radar. So, I mean, this might be something that Stardom has to take a step back and think, like, we need to start paying more to keep them, because who's not to say that next year you don't see a Starlight Kid go, a Natsupoi go, a Soriano go. I mean, again, they're phenomenal talent. There's no other wrestlers like them in the world. And you put them on a worldwide status, wrestling in front of, 8, 9, 10,000 people, Rob. I mean, this is just the truth that when a company gets this big or the talent gets that good, the corporate companies are going to come calling. They're going to come calling. They're going to offer more money. Not only that, but the merchandising as well. The merchandising that they do in WWE and AEW is insane. Like, just absolutely insane how much wrestlers can make on merchandise, especially you put them in the video games. It's wild. It's wild. But again, congratulations to Mina. We can't be nothing but proud, can't be nothing but proud for her. And I want to say, I think even though they gave us a few hours of a heart attack with that press conferencing that you said, I thought they went about it in the absolute right, most professional way. It was just Taro Okada and Mina Shirakawa press conference. Here's what's going on. She's leaving. Here's the date she has left. This was absolutely perfect for having a former, main eventer of your company leaving to go to one of the big dogs.
Yeah, I think Mina had run her course in Stardom. Again, at 37, you are looking at pushing the younger generation of Stardom, Saya Kamatani, Starlight Kid, Azumi. You've got all these talented wrestlers that are under 20. You've got Tomoka Inaba, who I think is just 20. You've got Azusa Inaba, who's 17. You've got Rina, who's 18. Ina, who's 18. Hanan, who's just turned 20. Rian, who's just turned 20, famously, and now smokes and drinks like a trooper because she's fallen under the influence of Mikey. Yeah, exactly. And we've talked before about where does Mina Shirakawa fit on this roster. Now, we can talk until the cows come home about how her Wonder of Stardom Championship run was booked, with both of the opinion that she should not have lost to Tam. And actually, I think we're both of the opinion that match probably shouldn't have happened. Whether it was a match that needed to be for both the belts or whatever it was. The fact that Mina has never gotten her win back from that is something that's loomed over this. Something you've said there, I think, has epitomized why fans of Stardom are a little bit concerned about this relationship with AEW, because, you are seeing the likes of Momo Watanabe, you are seeing the likes of who else has been on Azumi, for example, going over to AEW, and obviously fans of Stardom don't want to see that talent then going to AEW. And I think, obviously in a realistic world, money does talk. Disappointing as that is for us as fans, for the wrestlers, that's the main thing. Now, where this differs from the ECW and Ring of Honor comparisons that you drew earlier is that there is so much more involved in leaving Japan to go to America, because not only is it a huge cultural shift, it's a huge wrestling shift, and it's a huge language shift as well. Not only are you moving to a different country, not only are you moving to a different company, you look at Jericho, for example, who moved from WCW to WWF. Okay, that's a huge shift for him, absolutely, but the language is still the same. The audience is primarily still the same. There's not a great deal of change in the grand scheme of things. However, you look at, let's say for argument's sake, Momo Watanabe, who's got to uproot her entire life, leave all of her friends, leave all of her family, go to America where she doesn't speak the language fluently, wrestle in a way that she's not overly familiar with, you can become very isolated. And that's why I don't think we're going to see, and again, bookmark these words, I don't think we're going to see a huge exodus of talent from Stardom to America, because, again, yes, the money might be great, but that's not going to be for everyone. Mina Shirakawa went over to America, smashed it out of the park, connected really well with the audiences, and again, was given that opportunity. If AEW came knocking on the door and gave Mayu a load of money, for example, I don't think Mayu would leave.
No, she's been very adamant that she does not like leaving Japan. Like, she's very adamant with their, like, being home with their pets and whatnot, and doesn't like those long travels. And there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes, Rob, it's comfort over. And I've said this on the air, and I've said this to you in private. I left the job I was making a lot of money of 13 years ago, the year that I was buying a house, moving, and getting married. And I took a big pay cut because I was like, I want comfort over money. Money's not everything. Money's not everything. And these girls are making really good money, don't get me wrong. And they are making really good money on merchandise, because a lot of these things, once they go on sale on the website, you can't get. You cannot get. They finally put the Saya Kamatani Phoenix Queen hoodie on the website, because it's been selling out for months. I was like, it's warm weather now. And I went to go buy it, and you have to have your VIP membership to buy it first. I was like, oh my God. So they're doing really well on that. Yeah. And again, they're wrestling this style, and they're comfortable in Japan. It's just like, yeah, you're absolutely right, Rob. You're right. It is a little bit different. And then I'll throw something else there that might be different, that maybe calm the Stardom fans down a little bit. Not only if they do go to, if the offer is there from them to go to Stardom, to either AEW or WWE, do they have to uproot the entire life, learn a completely different style of wrestling and language? And I'm going to be honest with you, that, and I don't think anybody's going to argue with me. You look at how many hours that are on TV for AEW and WWE. At the end of the month, 75-80% of those hours go to the men. So there's only a smaller, and that might even be even smaller. I may be generous here. So there's only a smaller amount of time for the women. So obviously they're going to look at, if anybody's going to raid talent. It's not a raid. You're a free agent, and they want you, they're going to come and take you. And then I'm rightfully so, because you want to make as much money as possible, because wrestlers only have a short shelf life before their bodies eventually give out and they wind up retiring. But yeah, they're going to go towards the men, because the men dominate professional wrestling, especially here in the United States. So that's two different things. Is you're absolutely right, partner. Not only do you have to completely leave the country and uproot your life, and some people want to do, like Julia was all about it. Obviously, Io, Kairi, Asuka, they've done really, really well with it. Julia's, she's crushing it, knocking it out of the park, and she's only been there in a few months. Yeah, you're right. But the finite time for women on TV, even though they've been more prominently put there, it's still really finite compared to the men. So, there's that. And then there's something else I just want to touch upon, because I know me and you have talked about this off air, and I know a lot of our fan base has messaged me on, and I just want to just kind of cover this here, is obviously Mina's gone. There is a possibility that Mayu is leaving as well, because of, once she, again, we don't know. We don't have any insider information. And again, even if we did, we're not going to stooge it off. But there's a possibility, maybe a 70% chance, that she's leaving. And then also in Yokohama, Rob, we have the loser leaves match, which I don't think said loser's leaving forever. It's just, again. So you look at Stardom within the next 5, 6 weeks, Mina, Mayu, and let's just say Tam. And I had somebody said, is this a death blow to Stardom? If you take a step back, you're losing. You just take a step back, right? And obviously your first reaction is always going to be your worst reaction. If those three people leave, you are losing Mayu Iwatani, not only the best wrestler in the history of Stardom, probably the best women's wrestler of all time in her prime. Mina Shirakawa, your biggest worldwide star because of her AEW presence. Tam Nakano, probably right next to Saya Kamatani as your biggest draw over the last 12 to 18 months. So on paper, that sounds terrible. But hold on. Here's who we still have on the roster. Micah, Suzu, Azumi, Starlight Kid, Soriano,
Saya Kamatani.
Saya Kamatani, Momo Watanabe. Rena's really well. And then not only that, but look, you have, all this Syuri, all this phenomenal talent. You got Xena coming back, Amisori coming back. So you have all this phenomenal talent. Plus, look at the rookies that they've had over the last 2 years, the current crop of rookies that they have now. And then you take a look at Hanako, Rani Yagami, Aya Sakura, Sayaka Kurora. So again, on paper, those three names, really big names, but it's like, it's not a death nail at all. It's because their roster is so loaded and they're already pushing people up the card. You got to give credit. You got to give credit to Stardom. Han, Saida, Hazuki. How did I not mention Hazuki? That should have been the first name I mentioned. But like, it would stink to lose all three of those people all within a month and a half. It's a possibility that it does happen. But at the same time, we'll be all right. And what has Stardom been doing over the last 7, 8, 9, 10 months? Look who they've been pushing. Saya Kamatani, Momo Watanabe, Micah, Sayaka Kurora, hopefully, Han and Saida. So it's like, yeah, we know that there's a possibility said wrestlers might leave, but we're so loaded in the chamber, literally from our newest wrestler to our champion, they're going to be fine, folks. They are going to. Is there a possibility that after All-Star Grand Queendom, they take a little bit hit of attendance? Sure. I don't think it's going to be that big of a hit. But again, if all these three wrestlers leave, are you going to stop watching Stardom because Mayu left to go to Marigold or Mina left to AEW? No. I mean, you're telling me you're going to miss out on Micah, Suzu Suzuki, Hanako, Rina, throwing gang signs, slamming beers and stunners, Rob? No. Why would you miss that? Why would you miss that? So again, it's never good to lose that talent. Again, obviously, we know Mina's gone. Mayu, we're not sure. We know we're losing. Again, I'm doing this finger quotes for everybody on YouTube world. We know we're losing either Saya or Tam come this time next month. But again, this roster is so loaded. They're so talented. And again, they're doing a great job cultivating all these new rookies. Plus, they have that working relationship with Sendai Girls. So if they want to bring somebody, even they that working relationship with AEW, which again, I know some fans are like, they don't like that working relationship with AEW. It's really helped them. It's helped them because their draws up, the YouTube subscriptions are up. Toni Storm, who in my opinion is the biggest star on AEW TV, she was over here and she lost to Mayu clean. So they brought Mercedes in 2 years ago, helped draw the biggest
Nightingale, Anna
Jay, and it's been helping them draw. So I love this relationship they're having with AEW. It's not just like, yeah, we're just going to go over there. Did Anna Jay win the 5-star Grand Prix? No. Athena. Yeah. You know what I mean? They brought in, and Athena lost to Momo Watanabe because of a baseball shot to the face. But I know this conversation went kind of all over the place, but I kind of just didn't want to cover because again, I know me and you talked off air, and I know I had a lot of our fans were like, "Oh my God, if they lose these three people, what's this going to mean to Stardom?" Sure, on paper it looks bad. Take a step back and look at the roster. Take a step back and look at that roster. They are so loaded, and they're doing so much with the young talent that they're only constantly going to get better. So
I think so. I do agree. From a roster standpoint, losing talent couldn't have come at a better time. Simply because, again, you've listed off the amount of talent that Stardom has, young talent as well. Now, if in a year's time we are talking and AEW have snaffled Hanan, Hazuki, Starlight Kid, Azumi, and Stardom have got nothing back, then obviously that's when we need to start talking about this predatory relationship that AEW has with Stardom. At the moment, and I know that obviously Take Onti and Anna Jay aren't your biggest names. I'm fully aware of that. However, Tam Nakano versus Willow Nightingale was a good match. Yes, it was sort of last minute and you couldn't really do a lot of promotion around it, but even so, it was still a good match. The Toni Storm stuff was really good. The Athena stuff, yes, okay, the stuff with Tekla wasn't great, but still having her on the roster for even those 4 matches or those 4 shows was still good. Now, again, could AEW do more promotion for Stardom? Absolutely. Absolutely. Whether that is just on commentary, whether that is promoting shows that they're doing. You know, we had wrestlers turning up during the 5-Star Grand Prix and not one mention was made of the tournament with, you know, we don't know moves and things like that. Just stuff like that makes the relationship feel less one way. And I think that's what a lot of fans are, you know, rightly concerned about, is that this relationship can seem one way. Now, yes, we got Toni Storm out of it, and yes, we got some really good angles, and we got that fantastic Stan Hansen story out of her when she did that press conference with Mayu Iwatani, which was just tremendous, because Mayu obviously couldn't follow this, doesn't speak good enough English to follow it, so it's just like, what is going on?
You're totally going to ask her about that at WrestleCon, aren't you?
1,000%. 1,000. It's my favorite Toni Storm promo of all time. But again, I'm interested to see how this relationship flourishes. At the moment, I don't think a Mina Shirakawa departure, much as I love Mina, much as I wish I'd seen more from her in the upper echelon of Stardom, I don't see it being a hammer blow to Stardom in any way. I mean, she hasn't been really used in the last probably year, 18 months properly anyway. And like I said, she wasn't even in the 5-star. Now, we know from the Tokyo Sports article that she actually said at the end of the year to Stardom that she wouldn't be renewing. So this isn't a surprise. This isn't something new. What I did find interesting, and something that we spoke about, is the pulling of Mina from the meet and greets and pulling of Mina from other shows. Now, to a certain extent, I understand Mina being pulled from the Pride Style Pro Wrestling show. Okay, they're not affiliated with AEW. Mina Shirakawa is going to be a solely AEW featured talent, so she can't wrestle on that show. I get that. That's fine. Okay, she's still wrestling on the Stardom shows. Great. I don't really understand what AEW achieved from pulling her from the meet and greets at Spark Joshi, though, especially as she is still wrestling on that show and the meet and greet is before the show. Now, if the meet and greet was after the show, I'd completely understand. Now, is she on WrestleCon? Is she just on the Saturday, or is she on the Friday as well?
She's on the Thursday. They pulled her from. My guess is they pulled her from the Spark meet and greet to put her on the WrestleCon meet and greet, because the WrestleCon, and you pointed this out to me, the WrestleCon meet and greet, a lot of the female talent is being represented by the people that represent AEW. So my thing is like, okay, she's going to be a signed contract wrestler with AEW, so we're going to pull her from this meet and greet to put her on our meeting. And again, that's the reason that I see, because she's on, because the meet and greet is Thursday, because the Spark show is Thursday at 5. So my guess is she's wrestling for Stardom at noon on Thursday, and then going over to WrestleCon for the meet and greet there. Hers is Thursday and Saturday. So that's why, yes, Thursday we will not be at WrestleCon. It's just not unless they book Kenta Kobashi and Kawada. It's literally next to impossible. But we will be there Saturday.
Thursday we're not doing anything, mate, apart from watching wrestling.
A little bit of wrestling.
Most importantly, obviously, is the fact that Mina has this opportunity. We wish Mina nothing but the absolute best. In AEW, we might see her again in Stardom over the next, 3-4 years. Who knows? She might do some cross-promotional stuff, especially if Wrestle Dynasty becomes a annual thing. We might see her. But yeah, obviously, huge props to Mina. Something someone pointed out to me, actually, just before we move on, was that all the original members of Cosmic Angels could realistically be gone from the company by the end of April. So Tam Nakano could be gone. Unagi Sayaka's gone already, and now Mina Shirakawa's gone, which is obviously, it's mind-blowing, really, when you think about how much stock was put in that and that inaugural incarnation of Cosmic Angels. If if I could book a match for Mina, it would be a singles match with Tam. And I imagine, he says, that at that Stardom Tam Road in Anjo show, which is April 16th. April 16th? 6th, sorry, not 16th, 6th. I imagine that is what they're doing, because we had the tag match at Okinawa and, there was, handshakes, and there was seemingly a lot of animosity put aside during that storyline, animosity anyway. So I wonder if they are going to do another match. I'd like to see Mina win just to get her win back, but ultimately they're not going to do that because Mina's leaving and Tam is just leaving. But anyway, obviously, again, the highlight, we want Mina to do nothing but the best, and we are wishing her nothing but the best.
Yeah, and just real quick, just an exclamation point. More than likely, we will be doing somewhat of a Watch Mina segment, whether it's on this show or Talk Joshi or whatever, just because why not? We'll still keep Mina in our hearts, but really the biggest congratulations to one Mina Shirakawa, and we wish her well. And we'll be seeing her on that Saturday, where we can tell her in person how much we enjoyed her time in Stardom, and I'm really looking forward to her matches with like a Deonna Purrazzo, with Serena Deeb. A lot of really great talent in over there in AEW. So nothing but the biggest congratulations to one Mina Shirakawa, my friend.
Mina Shirakawa versus Yuka Sakazaki as well. That could be very, very entertaining. And of course, Mina Shirakawa has already said that, the big match she's looking forward to is the rematch with Mercedes Moné. So again, we wish Mina the best. Speaking of Stardom in Las Vegas, we now have all Stardom talent confirmed that will be on those shows. Previously announced with the first wave of talent announcements were Azumi, Starlight Kid, Momo Watanabe, Konami, Syuri, Mina Shirakawa, Maika, Hazuki, Saya Ida, and Hanako. On the 23rd of March, Stardom confirmed the remaining talent, which is going to be Hanan, Natsuko Tora, Tekla, and Suzu Suzuki. That will bring the number over to 14, which is one more than the same time last year. Now, this brought a lot of excitement, especially for the likes of Hanan, Saida, Hazuki, Suzu Suzuki, who we didn't get to see last year, and it's going to be really exciting to see them again this year. Obviously, though, it was more about who isn't coming over, and no Cosmic Angels are coming over, so no Natsupoi, no Tam, which is the big one, Tam, no Isakura Sayaka Kurora, no Yuna Mizumori, no Saya Kamatani. Your World of Stardom champion is not coming over, and no Mayu Iwatani. There's also no Mei Seira as high-speed champion, no Saki Kashima, who came over last year, no Koguma, who still has a visa from Fighting Spirit Unleashed. There's some notable omissions, but those three big names, Matt Turner, Mayu Iwatani, Tam Nakano, and Saya Kamatani. Now, we've spoken a lot off air about this, and, speaking about the positives first, those three names I've mentioned, Sayarida, Hanan, Hazuki, really excited to see him. I'm really excited to see Starlight Kid and Momo Watanabe again. I'm excited to talk about punk rock with Tekla if I get the opportunity. But those three names, I mean, there's already a lot of speculation around Mayu Iwatani. Whether that gets confirmed soon or not, I don't know. This could be a big point at the fact that she's not going to stay. I feel like if Mayu Iwatani was staying in Stardom, she's the first name on this sheet. I mean, she's your IWGP Women's Champion, the whole international feel of that title. She's also the icon and would bring over so many eyes. I feel like if she was staying, she would be on these cards. Again, that is solely my opinion. As Matt mentioned before, we don't have an inside track on anything like that. Tam Nakano, I sort of get, I suppose, with the retirement road, and maybe she's going to be doing some promotion for that in Japan, or maybe she's going to be doing, some other matches as a quote-unquote freelancer. We know that she's going to be wrestling on Pro Wrestling Wave on April 5th. Saya Kamatani is a proper puzzling one. I do not understand the omission of Saya Kamatani. Now, I know that we are obviously doing this retirement match the week after, but to not bring your top champion, I mean, you look at Tokyo Joshi Pro, who are doing their Las Vegas show as well. Stacked card, by the way. I think their main event is Mizuki versus Miyu Yamashita, which, oh my God. But to not bring your top talent over, even if there is a retirement match in a week's time, why would you not have them wrestling on the shows? What are they going to be doing in the meantime?
Yeah, I just want to back up real quick. No Momo Kogo either, which speaks perfect English, or Waka, and they would help, basically be the tour guides. Obviously they're great wrestlers and we're big fans of both Momo Kogo and Waka, but like they can help facilitate some of the language barriers. So I don't understand that. Go ahead,
just quickly, I do just want to point out that we are saying this as though Stardom have said no. There is every chance that some of the talent just went, I don't want to go. Again, it's a long flight. It's, especially if they've been before, maybe they're just like, right, I kind of don't fancy it. Again, that might have happened,
Sure.
Especially with talent that went over last year, Saki Kashima and Mei Seira, for example. I just feel like if you are the top champions, especially Saya Kamatani, with what we think might happen with Mayu Iwatani following Yokohama, I just feel like the Saya Kamatani one is a puzzling one. Continue anyway.
Again, and I'm going to get the one negative thing for me, which is Rob's biggest positive, since there's no male tier contract, concert, and I can't get that dream photo of me, my wife, and Tam. I was gonna get that tattooed on my neck like Cody Rhodes.
For that. I would have paid to have your wife and Tam Nakano next to each other. Oh my God.
Yeah, like me, you, and Tam at the at the Monster Factory show doing the kawaii pose. But yeah, again, the talent is great. Don't get me wrong, but
absolutely.
And our friend of the show, Walker Suda, tweeted something out a couple days ago saying, like, basically hinting that he's doing English commentary. I think it was he wants Tony. After Tony Storm did commentary on Dynamite last week, he said something like, "I nominate Tony Storm for my commentating co-host for All Star Grand Queendom." I was like, oh, I guess they're doing English commentary, which you would figure this show is a little over a week before All Star Grand Queendom. What a great way to sell pay-per-views. Because more people buy pay-per-views than go to shows. What a great way to sell pay-per-views in the United States than literally Wednesday commercial. Because obviously we have some Stardom talent on that Wednesday show for Dragon Gate. Like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That can be literally just matches and commercials and press to sell pay-per-views in the United States. And the fact that you don't have Tam and you don't have Saya Kamatani, and you're right, partner, maybe they said, okay, we're only going to fill 14 or 15 seats because it's an expensive flight. It's an expense, the room, food, the whole nine. But at the same time, Saya Kamatani is your champion. It kind of goes with the territory that like you need to travel, especially to the biggest wrestling country in the world during the most busiest, most eyes on week in the calendar year over here to America, WrestleMania weekend. So you figured Saya Kamatani would have been number one there to promote Stardom. What a great wrestler to promote Stardom. She's over. She's a great worker. She sells tickets. The aura alone would be like people that have never seen Saya Kamatani just on the entrance alone. And then she gets in the ring. And then I would have had Saya and Tam on every single one of these shows across the ring from each other in some sort of multi-person tag before the match and after the match. I would especially after the match, I would do promos next week in Yokohama, and I would have the commentators drill home. If you want to get this on pay-per-view, the link is this. We're doing English commentary. You would sell so many pay-per-views just by doing that. But the fact that you don't have either of them, it is really puzzling, partner. It is really puzzling. Again, most of these shows that Stardom is on, I think the two shows are the three shows, the Spark show and the two Stardom shows are just about sold out. I think with Walk Up Business, they'll probably get right around there, or they will be sold out because from what we understand, the tickets are moving pretty fast as we are, again, less than a month away. But you're right, no Soriano, no Natsupoi, no Tam, again, no Saya Kamatani. But again, that's the negative. That's the negative. And you're absolutely right. I mean, this could have been a big 3-4 day commercial to plug All-Star Grand Queendom from the pay-per-view side. Now, maybe I'm going to give Stardom the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they want to leave Saya and Tam over in Japan to do press, to sell tickets. because that's ultimately is the goal, is they want to hit that 9 to 10,000. Maybe that's the reason why. And maybe, Rob, because we are having the Wonder of Stardom champion is there, Starlight Kid. And me and you have speculated as we have 3 matches announced for Yokohama. And we're like, oh boy, howdy. These all can be 4.5 to 5-star matches. No problem. What's that Wonder of Stardom championship match going to be? We thought it might be Natsupoi. You mentioned Suzu Suzuki, which is a great shout. I mentioned Azumi. We will definitely know, or we hopefully will know by the time we get on that plane to Vegas, what our big Wonder of Stardom championship match is. What if it's Starlight Kid and Azumi, and they use that as a commercial? They're using that as a commercial because they're teaming on that Dragon Gate show. Obviously, they're part of Neo Genesis. But what if they're just like after the matches, they're holding the belt up and the commentators bring that home? So maybe they drive home in the United States the Wonder match, and maybe they drive home over in Japan the Red Belt match. Again, that I don't know, but I agree. You need to have Saya Kamatani at least on the show. But again, regardless, we got Wingori, we got Hazuki, Starlight Kid, Azumi, Syuri, Kunami, Tekla, Momo Watanabe. I'm real excited for it. I'm really, really excited for it. And hopefully in the next few days, we start getting some of the matches announced because we already know some. Oh, Micah. Geez, how am I missing Micah? Micah as well. Mina Shirakawa's final Stardom show. We're going to be there live for it. So really, really cool stuff. And I'm really excited for it.
Yeah. So sort of changing tack a little bit. Mayu Iwatani. Do we think this, are you of the same opinion as I am that this pretty much almost guarantees that following the Yokohama show, Mayu is gone?
I mean, yes and no. If you remember that she was slated to win the IWGP Championship at the first historic crossover against Kyrie, and she just didn't want. They're like, "Well, here's the travel we want you to do," and she just didn't want to do it. And then eventually, I think they offered her more money, and then she did it. And again, maybe it was the option. I'm about 75% sure that she's probably going to Marigold, at least maybe for a year. And again, we'll talk about that more as because we've been speculating on this for over a year. Because again, what a great year she had in 2024. But yeah, I mean, she's your biggest overall star. She's the best wrestler in the history of the company. Her and Momo Watanabe helped hold up that company when Kyrie left, when Io left in 2020, when Kagetsu retired, when we had the untimely passing of the great Hana Kimura during the COVID year. So it's like, she is your pillar. She is your icon. You wonder how they're going to handle it, Rob. Again, this might have been something where it's just like, if you don't want to go, you don't have to go. We'll bring somebody else in. And it might be something they might be thinking, like, maybe let's see how we can draw without a Mayu, without a Hisai. And obviously they're doing really well. They sold a lot of tickets just on the Stardom name alone. And then they started announcing names, and they sold more and more tickets. So again, just goes to show you how loaded this roster is. And the Stardom name does sell tickets. Again, proven point, buddy. I mean, we went and bought our tickets. I literally set an alarm on my phone as soon as the tickets went on sale. We didn't know who was going to be on the show. Again, we figured it would have been, no disrespect, it would have been people above Rina, people above Aya Sakura, people above, sorry, buddy, Fuki and Death. But yeah.
Jesus, Matt, that was unnecessary.
Let me ask you this. Who would you rather see, Fuki and Death or Hazuki?
The fact that you have to ask that question really does offend me. Obviously, the answer is Fuki and Death.
That would have been an easy opportunity for you to plug the shirt that you're wearing, and you missed it. I threw a softball at you for you to sell a t-shirt. That's okay, buddy. Hopefully some of my cheesy salesness rubs off at you in Vegas.
Oh, God, yeah. I'm going to be a walking billboard in Vegas.
We all are. Flashing signs.
I think you hit the nail on the head there with Mayu. I don't think it's an in-ring thing that Stardom are going to miss because, the talent that they've got roster-wise, Starlight Kid, Azumi, just as two that are off the top of my head that, can step up. It's backstage. Mayu has been that constant. She's the last constant that Stardom have with Rossy Ogawa gone. Nobody is in that company that has been there for as long as Mayu and for the consistent amount of time that Mayu has been there. Again, you mentioned it, she was there when Kari left. She was there when Io left. She was there during the Yoshiko incident. She was there during COVID. She was there when Hazuki retired, when Kagetsu retired, when Hana passed, when Arisa retired. when we had the Marigold split, Mayu has been that constant. Even in the injury-riddled 2023, where just everyone was going down, I wonder if Mayu leaving, who follows, if anyone. There might not be anyone that follows. It might be just Mayu. And we're assuming that Mayu's leaving. Obviously, we're speaking as though we think Mayu is going. But from a locker room leader point of view, from the icon point of view, who goes with her? That's the interesting point for me. Not who replaces her, because Stardom have got an abundance of riches in that department, just in the current red and white belt champions. But she's going to be a huge miss backstage, especially with the likes of Asaya Ida, Ahanan, Hazuki, people like that, people who've been Koguma, those people who've been with her. I'm really intrigued to see what impact it has in that regard should Mayu leave, as opposed to an in-ring regard.
Here's the one thing you have to think about, Rob. Mayu's the only contract. The contract season, from what we understand, is up at the end of March. Mayu's the only contract that's a little bit later. So again, we don't know, and if we did, we're not stooges. We would, we're speculating, but we're pretty sure that with the exception of Mina and Mayu, everybody else is signed up until 2026. So you just made a good mention. Who's going to follow Mayu? Nobody else can, unless they some sort of breach of contract. So Stardom would have, somebody who wants to leave, they have 10, 11, 12 months to make everybody feel warm and fuzzy. Stardom has drawn a ton of money. They're going to continue to draw a ton of money. And if they want to put people on worldwide status, or they want to go to different companies to wrestle to make money on the side, they've clearly allowed that. Sendai Girls, Pro Wrestling Wave, Diana, Oz Academy, so on and so forth. So that's a good point. But at the same time, it's like Stardom does know, like, well, if anybody does want to leave, we have all this time to convince them to stay. And it's not like they're leaving to go to bigger companies. If anybody's going to leave, they're going to go or leave to follow Mayu. We're assuming Mayu is going to Marigold. It's not like it's the AEW or WWE. And again, no disrespect to Marigold. Obviously, we love Marigold, but they're considerably a smaller company than Stardom. Stardom's on a completely different, as far as attendance goes. Again, wrestling subjective. You can like what you like, but as far as income goes, as far as attendance goes, as far as revenue goes, Stardom, as far as Joshi goes, is on a completely different level than not just Marigold. I'm talking Tokyo Joshi Pro. I'm talking Ice Ribbon, Oz Academy, Sendai Girls. They're on a completely different level. So if they're going to leave to follow Mayu, again, if Mayu's going and if she's going to Marigold, they're leaving to go to, again, no disrespect, to a smaller company, because ultimately that's what it is. That's what it is.
You're absolutely right, but obviously we've seen with Mina that if people have let Stardom know at the end of the year that they might be leaving, we're not saying that they don't say we don't mind working up until this date on sort of a pay-per-show basis. We're not necessarily saying we want to be under contract, but we're going to wrestle till Yokohama and then we're going to leave when Mayu leaves. We might see something like that. I don't think we will, but it is a possibility. Just for the record, I don't think anyone will leave if Mayu leaves. It'll be the year after where things will get really, really interesting. But nevertheless, all of that is speculation until we know more. Speaking of Vegas, and one of the talents I am really excited to see is Suzu Suzuki. And if you don't get to the Stardom shows, have no fear, because she will be wrestling at Joey Janela's Spring Break number 9, just against Masha Slamovich. Just against Masha on Friday, April 18th at 7 p.m. She'll be challenging for the JCW World Championship, the same championship that Syuri went for at GCW versus the World when they went to that fantastic 30-minute time limit draw. Masha Slamovich versus Suzu Suzuki, Matt. Yeah, that's going to be all right. And don't forget, this is the same show where Gabe Kidd is wrestling, where Megan Bain is facing Bozilla as well. It could be a rather entertaining show, Matt. I think we might have to go to this one.
Yeah, it was pretty good when it came to let's just not get tickets for certain things just yet because Joey Janela spring break. The first thing they hinted towards is Sabu's retirement match against Joey Janela. They're still advertising it. And I know
They
Joey
are, yeah.
Janela, the shoulder or a collarbone or something. So again, I mentioned it a little bit ago. Massive ECW fan. The person that really drew me to ECW was Sabu. So I would like to see his final match. You're throwing in Megan Bain versus Bozilla. Okay, now I'm even more intrigued. Now you're giving Masa Slamovich, one of the best wrestlers on TNA the last handful of years, versus Suzu Suzuki. And they say styles make fights. Partner, those styles are right up my alley. Hard hitting, in your face, not afraid to bend the rules, fighting spirit, the whole nine. Yeah, I think that's a show that more than likely we're going to go to because I think only on Friday all we have is the Stardom show and then probably shuffle off to WrestleCon. So that probably will be the general idea for Friday, my friend. Then head over to Joey Janela Spring Break, which is obviously always just an insane, wild show. So more than likely, we'll be attending that one. And again, folks, just let you know, Suzu Suzuki sell tickets because she just about sold 2 of them right here with these 2 handsome gentlemen.
Absolutely. Just FYI as well, you got Minoru Suzuki taking on Matt Tremont and Zack Sabre Jr. versus one called Manders as well on that card. Proper stacked card, that Joey Janela card. I'm looking forward to that. More Stardom participation, this time on Dragon Gate shows. Matt, you already hinted at this. We did talk about the fact that Starbomb, Starlight Kid, and Azumi had been announced for the show on Wednesday, the 16th of April. The Dragon Gate USA, the Rebirth show that was basically the kickoff show to the GCW Collective. They have now had their opponents announced, and it's going to be Azumi and Starlight Kid tagging against Natsuko Tora and Konami. Now, that's going to be exciting in itself. However, Dragon Gate have got another show announced. That's on the 18th of April at the Gate of Revolution. They're doing a show with Pro Wrestling Revolution, and Wingori have been announced for that show. Hanan and Saya Ida taking on the team of Charisma and Hyan. Now, that is a very, very tasty tag team match. Of course, Hyan, no stranger to wrestling Joshi wrestlers, as we're going to be talking about in a moment, actually. But it's great to see Wingori tagging together on a Dragon Gate show as well. And Matt, unfortunately, because we've already said we're going to spring break, it does mean we can't go to that Dragon Gate show.
I thought both those tag matches were on the Wednesday. No, they're different. Oh, I did not know that, sir. I did not read the fine print. So more than likely, I will be attending a Dragon Gate. I'm going to try to convince Rob to drag him. I might have to fireman's carry him to said show. But I did make mention this when those graphics came up, and I'm like, I'm going to put this out in the universe. I'm going to put it on now. If we are getting Starbomb teaming, we're getting Wingori teaming on a Dragon Gate show. Why not on the Stardom show, we get Wingori versus Starbomb? There it is, folks. I'm putting it out there in the universe. I'm putting it out there in the universe. They're already teaming. We already got the graphics there. The visas are all in. Let's do it. Let's do it. Stardom's. I mean, we have matches announced for every single card on the show. Obviously, they're not are on this entire weekend. Obviously, they're not full cards. We have not gotten one match announced for Stardom. Let's do Wingori. Let's do Starbomb. Let's go for it.
Absolutely. I think it's safe to say we're not getting any title matches. There's no red belt champion. There's no Miyu Amasaki on these cards, so we're not going to get an Artist of Stardom Championship. They're certainly not going to do a Goddess of Stardom Championship match because that match has been announced for Yokohama, and boy, howdy, what a match that will be. We're not going to have an IWGP Women's Championship match, so the only real match we could get is a white belt match, an impromptu white belt match, which, again, I'm certainly not going to be complaining about if that's the case. But I think it's going to be rather difficult to get that in. But yeah, if we were to get Starbomb versus Wingori, I'd be a very, very, very happy little Robert. Someone whose WrestleMania week is going to be starting considerably earlier is Azumi, who has been announced for Prestige Wrestling, friend of the show, Prestige Wrestling, by the way, their Roseland 11 show on April 12th. That is going to be at the Roseland Theatre in Portland, Oregon. She has been announced to be taking on the 2024 Queen of the Indies, Hyatt, who is also going to be taking on Wingori on the Dragon Gate show we've just been talking about. Obviously, she's just returned from a really successful tour with Marvelous. She's wrestled the likes of Julia way back when for the New Japan Strong Women's Championship. She's wrestled Jungle Kyona, Miyu Yamashita, Rina Yamashita, and just a whole other selection of Joshis during her 10-year career. She did tweet out that this is sort of a dream match of hers. This is going to be tremendous, and also it's going to be free on YouTube. So Prestige Wrestling have announced that show is going to be live on YouTube, April 12th, Portland, Oregon. The full card has been announced. Tomohiro Ishii is on that card. Tim Thatcher is on Zack Sabre Jr., the Rascals, and now Azumi versus Hyan as well. Just for that show, Matt, just for that match itself, I'm sold. But they've also got Tomohiro Ishii versus Calvin Tankman.
Ooh.
Yes, please. That is going to be the meatiest of meaty fights, and I can't wait for that. But yes, great to see Azumi getting more love in the USA. And Hyan, again, I'm really excited to see what she can do, because every time I've seen her in the ring, she's impressed.
Look who she's again. She's a phenomenal wrestler and constantly getting better. And look who she's going to be in the ring with this entire week, Wingori, Azumi. So she's only constantly going to get better and get more eyes on her, because of the Stardom fan base are going over to watch the Stardom shows, and they're going to be blown away by how great she is. Correct me if I'm wrong, partner. I believe she's on that Marvelous show that Thursday night at 11 o'clock. Oh, Thursday night / Saturday morning, depending on what time we get out of there. We'll find a Waffle House for you, buddy. You don't worry about a thing.
Oh, this is like me and Kirsty.
Look how happy he got. Yes, go ahead.
I know we're talking about Vegas. I know we're going all over the place. I promise we'll be more refined after Vegas.
No, we won't.
No, we won't. You're right. But me and Kirsty were talking about, and the thing that we're most excited about is, obviously, I went to Florida a lot. I was very lucky as a child, so I did go to Florida a lot. And, Ponderosa, Denny's, that sort of thing is completely my jam. And there's a Denny's literally just outside our hotel. So Wednesday morning or Wednesday, whenever we get up, straight to breakfast there. And Waffle House is somewhere that I've never been, and I am so excited to go to. So if that is what we're doing, either post Marvelous or just before Marvelous, I am down, brother. Again, Syuri and Takumi Iroha on that card are going to be wrestling against each other, and I'm now like, oh, take me to Waffle House.
We're not going to be able to go before, because Bloodsport's before. We will not have any time.
Oh, yeah, true.
Yeah, the same Bloodsport they just announced, Natty Neidhart versus Miyu Yamashita. Yamashita. So, but yeah, we will, and it's a rite of passage, and you have to go to Waffle House like early in the morning. That's just the way that it is, because it's a rite of
unwritten rule.
It's a rite of passage. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. And I've not been to Waffle House. Oh God, it's got to be over 10 years. It's got to be over 10 years. And there's a Waffle House not that far away from my comic book shop, but man, I got to take you to Waffle. It's literally a rite of passage for anybody involved in the pro wrestling business. So yeah, that's going to be super fun. We'll have to find, there's definitely got to be one in Vegas, right? I mean, everything's 24/7 there anyway, but yeah, again, I think I believe Hyan is on that Marvelous show. So the point I was trying to get to before I completely threw us off track talking about chocolate pecan waffles at the Waffle House is, if she is on said show, we definitely got to get an interview with her, because we're starting to schedule a lot of interviews, with the fine people at Prestige Wrestling. And kudos to you, brother, on handling all that. You're absolutely hitting out of the park, as you always do. So we're going to be busy people, folks. There's going to be a lot of content coming out either during or after WrestleMania weekend for the stuff that we have lined up, and we're super excited for. And obviously, we couldn't do it without the fantastic Stardom Cast fans, the friends and family. But good for Hyan. She's going to be, her stock's going to go way up. Her stock and the Waffle House stock is going to go way up after Vegas, baby.
So excited. So, for Marvelous as well, but also for Waffle House. That might be my Kirsty might have to come to that just because of Waffle House. We do have, moving on from Vegas slightly, we've had our third title match announced for All-Star Grand Queendom in Yokohama Arena, 27th of April. We already knew, of course, that blockbuster main event, Saya Kamitani defending the World of Stardom Championship against Tam Nakano, retirement match. We knew that we were getting Mayu Iwatani versus Syuri to Electric Boogaloo for the IWGP Women's Championship as well. And now we've had a Goddesses of Stardom Championship match added to that. Wingori will defend their belts. Spoiler for those that haven't seen the Okinawa pay-per-view, for the second time against Fukuoka Double Crazy. In my humble opinion, one of, if not the best tag team in the world. We know they are going to absolutely blow the doors off that venue. We saw them do it at the convention. That was a tremendous match. We've seen them do it at Korakuen Hall as well. I'm very, very excited for this match. Completely different dynamic with Wingori being the champions and FWC being the chasers. Very excited, Matt.
Rob, you just put something in my head. I have to record for my YouTube segment, Match of the Week, and I'm probably going to do it after this podcast. I might go back to the conversion, and that might be my Match of the Week, folks. That might be my Match of the Week. But that's all on you, buddy. Great job. You look at this card right now, 3 matches. Tam and Saya is your biggest feud, and maybe your biggest money-making feud, maybe of all time. Again, we'll see, but I mean, it's they're making tons of money on Saya versus Tam. Syuri versus Mayu, probably the most, with the exception of Momo Watanabe, the 2 most consistent wrestlers in this company over the last 5 years, since Syuri's been full-time in Stardom in 2020, and arguably the greatest IWGP championship match, women's championship match of all time is Mayu versus Syuri from last year. Obviously, Mayu versus Sari and Mayu versus Momo, you can throw in the mix. Again, it's subjective. Now you're putting, and I've been saying for the last 2 years, FWC is the best tag team in all of wrestling. And then I made mention after the Path of Thunder, dun, 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 rock and roll, after their match with Crazy Star, that I don't think it's FWC anymore, that I think Wingori is the best tag team of all of wrestling. Wow. So again, Saya Tam, your biggest feud at the hottest time. Mayu and Syuri, you're probably your 2 most consistent wrestlers you've had over the last 5 years. And now you're putting, in my opinion, the two best tag teams, not in Stardom, not in Japan, but in all of wrestling on this show. Wow. And again, rumored Himeka versus Chihiro Hashimoto. We don't know what Starlight Kid's doing, but again, it's like, here's the list of possible opponents. I have no problem with them running Natsupoi back because they teased that. They teased Tomoka Inaba. Suzu, maybe they're doing some sort of a breakup thing, and maybe they're like, hey, you all wrestle, and then the winner wrestles, everybody in the Neo Genesis wrestles me, and then it is Azumi and Starlight Kid. I think that'd be the way to go. Regardless, 3 matches on this show, buddy. The show is selling really well. 11 of the 18 sections that are available for purchase are either sold out or showing few tickets left, but only 3 matches announced and a month left to go. So again, I'm super excited. And I did make mention, if Hazuki is not challenging and winning the Wonder Belt at this show, they need to do FWC versus Wingori. And that's exactly what we're getting. And as great as their match was at the conversion, Hazuki and Kagome as a tag team are actually better somehow. And Wingori are, again, as great as they've been as a tag team and they've been a tag team for a while, as great as a tag team as they've been, they're a better tag team right now. Again, I think they're the best tag team in the world. And the only argument I would have in my own insane head is FWC. And folks, just to give an idea how long we've been a tag team, myself and Andy Header, we released the free bonus episode last week of the 2019 Cinderella tournament. Wingori is on that opening match as a tag team. That was 6 years ago, buddy. 6 years ago. Yeah, I think the combined age in the ring was like 50 out of 6 people.
That's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, it's going to be a great match. And you are wanting to sell, as we've mentioned countless times, they want to sell 10,000 tickets to this show. You want your best matchups. And to me, that is your best matchup for this belt, or for these belts, should I say. And it would not surprise me if following this match, whoever wins, it's probably going to be Wingori. Whoever wins, I imagine Devil Princess will challenge the winners.
Ooh, I like that, sir. I like your booking. I like your booking.
Book that match. Finally, another Stardom talent wrestling somewhere else. We know that Waka Tsukiyama and Rina are going to be wrestling for 666 or 666 wrestling, whatever you want to call them, on their Korakuen Hall show on the 6th of June. But also, Tam Nakano is going to be wrestling for Pro Wrestling Wave on their Korea Wave Volume 5. She's going to be facing Yuki Miyazaki on April 5th. Yuki, former Regina the Wave champion, the person who lost the belt to Saya Kamatani, by the way. And she has also announced her retirement for January 1st, 2026. So both women, potentially, her and Tam Nakano, on something of a retirement roadmap. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that will make its way onto Stardom World sooner rather than later. Now, Matt, we have been going for an hour and 20 minutes and have not even spoken about the shows that we are going to be reviewing. So let's get straight on with that. We're heading on a spring vacation, brother. We're heading on a spring vacation to Okinawa, the first night of a pair of pay-per-views that Stardom put on over the last weekend now, Thursday the 20th and Saturday the 22nd. This first night, Thursday the 20th of March, from the Okinawa Convention Center. Now, I made a statement during the last podcast that this was not the first time that Stardom have run Okinawa. Now, I knew that they had run it back in 2016. Now, that was not a sole Stardom produced show. It was a festival. So even though Stardom had 2 matches on that show, it wasn't a sole Stardom event. And actually, there was multiple things happening at the same time. The show was called Okinawa Fight Collection, and it was more a festival. So that is not counted as an actual Stardom show. So as a sole Stardom show, this is their first venture into Okinawa, which may explain why Stardom gave it on pay-per-view. But the announced attendance for this first night inside the convention center was 541. Now, as I mentioned before, though, there has been Stardom participation in that very venue before. This will be the first time the company have run sole promoted shows in Okinawa. It appears that the Okinawa Convention Center is not a venue that wrestling often runs at. Did a little bit of research, and the likes of Dragon Gate, Oz Academy often run the smaller Naha Bunker 10 Buscan. Apologies if I've butchered that. All Japan have run the prefecture very infrequently, drawing over 1,000 people to the Okinawa Prefectural Budokan in 2024. A venue Oz Academy also ran in June of last year, drawing 483. And in fact, according to Cage Match, the venue hasn't been used for wrestling, the Okinawa Convention Center this is, since the aforementioned show in 2016. There have been no other shows run from that venue until this pair of pay-per-views, which I thought was quite interesting. In terms of the card, then, that is as follows. The exhibition Ryukyu Dragon Pro Wrestling tag team match with Chirami Saber and Gurukun Mask defeating the team of Syuri Joe and Ryukyu Dog Dingo, with Chirami Saber getting the pin with the Firebird Splash in 10 minutes and 7 seconds. The new Stardom rookie, Ankanaya, she debuted on this show, losing to Yuna Mizumori in singles action, Yuna pinning her with a lariat in 11 minutes and 17 seconds. 8-woman tag match next. The God's Eye team of Saki Kashima, Hina, Lady C, and Tomoka Inaba, they defeated the Hate team of Momo Watanabe, Konami, Rina, and Azusa Inaba. Saki Kashima getting the surprise roll-up on Rina with the Kish Kasai in 10 minutes and 28 seconds. Tag team match next. 02 line Azumi and Miyu Amasaki defeated the EXV team of Maika and Rian. Miyu Amasaki getting the pinfall over Rian with the Tenzai in 9 minutes and 30 seconds. 3-way match. Hanako defeated Aya Sakura and Ronnie Agami. Hanako pinning Aya Sakura with the powerbomb in 7 minutes and 53 seconds. in an 8-woman tag match that was a preview of the Goddesses of Stardom Championship match the following show. Mayu Iwatani, Momo Kogo, Hazuki, and Koguma defeated the team of Hanan, Saya Ida, Akira Kuragani, and Uriah Hime, with Momo Kogo pinning Hanan with the 619 DDT in 14 minutes and 15 seconds. Tag team match, the Cosmic Angels team of Tam Nakano and Syuri, they defeated the XV team of Mina Shirakawa and Waka Tsukiyama, with Tam pinning Waka with the Tiger Suplex in 12 minutes and 38 seconds. In your semi-main event, BMI 2000, Natsukatora and Ruaka defeated Crazy Star, Suzu Suzuki, and Meisera. Ruaka pinning Suzu Suzuki with the Freezer Bomb in 8 minutes and 29 seconds. Of course, that only tells half the story of that match. And then in your main event, Saya Kamatani defeating Sayaka Kurora in non-title action with the Star Crusher in 12 minutes and 52 seconds. Now, that match was initially supposed to be a special singles between the Red Belt and the White Belt champion, Saya Kamatani, and Starlight Kid. Unfortunately, Starlight Kid was pulled from both of these shows due to that injury that we talked about last week. She's also not been announced for the 2 shows this weekend or the Korakuen Hall show. So hopefully she will be fine for those Las Vegas shows. But Matt Turner, what did you think of this show? And look, let's get this out of the way. These were not pay-per-view worthy shows. We've both said that. In terms of the card, these should not have been given away on pay-per-view, especially when you look at, the caliber of cards that Stardom put on a regular basis. There was very little, especially on this first night, aside from a very impressive debut for Ankanaya and a very good underdog performance from Sayaka Kurora, the sort of continuation of the Neo Genesis story. There was very little on this pay-per-view that made me think, yes, this is money well spent. It was a good show, and obviously we know the in-ring action is going to be great because, again, as we've mentioned before, look at the roster. There's no way these should have been pay-per-views at all, Matt.
And I think it's just because we've spoiled by Stardom. I mean, you look at some of the pay-per-views we've gotten just over the last handful of months, with the finals of the Goddess tournament, with Dream Queendom, with Path of Thunder, and Rock and Roll. And then sometimes we'll be getting these shows that'll be live on Stardom World, or they'll be up the next day. And there's sometimes I'm halfway through a show and I'll text you and I'm like, did you get to this show yet? Because I'm on match 4 and I feel like I should be paying more money, where I've seen better free shows on Stardom World than this. Again, was it really good? Yes, of course. It's Stardom. The roster's terrific. By no stretch of the imagination was there anything blow away other than pretty close to the main event of the second night, which we'll get to. Again, it was fun shows, but yeah, they shouldn't have been pay-per-views. And again, if they were running these shows for pay-per-view just to see if they can get pay-per-view feeds in there, they should have done them for like $7-8. And maybe that's what it is, because it is a cool looking venue. And the idea is they want to be able to hit the market in Okinawa. And again, Rob, I've been watching Japanese wrestling religiously since 1996. New Japan, All Japan, FMW, UWF, UWFI, Noah, obviously Stardom. And I've never heard of a wrestling company wrestling in Okinawa before. To be honest with you, the only thing I know about Okinawa is Mr. Miyagi from the Karate Kid movies. You're like, yeah, absolutely.
That's the first thing I knew. That, and I know that there is an American base there, but I think looking back on it, that might only be because of the Karate Kid movies.
Yeah. So again, it was a great venue, and again, they drew 541, and I don't know what they drew on the second night. It looked like they drew more, and obviously you'll tell us here once we get there. So again, maybe this is a place that they're to be like, hey, maybe we'll do something during the 5-star here, or maybe a pay-per-view after the 5-star. Let's use these shows as tests to see if pay-per-view satellite will get there, which I'm fine with. Just drop the price. But the one good thing they did do, and they've been doing this over the last year or so, if there's back-to-back pay-per-views or there's pay-per-views that are all kind of the same theme, if you buy 2 of them, you save a few bucks, which that I like. But I totally agree that this really didn't need to be a pay-per-view, especially the fact that we just had the Cinderella tournament, which was a pay-per-view. And again, that was great. And Path of Thunder, not that long ago, which was a pay-per-view, which was great. And but yeah, I totally agree. But again, regardless, both solid shows. And again, the venue was really, really cool looking.
It was, absolutely. And again, I think this is probably exacerbated by the fact that we have had so many pay-per-views recently. And just to rattle off what we've had in the space of just over 2 months, we will have had 8 pay-per-views. So you've had the Path of Thunder and Rock and Roll, 24th of February. The opening of the Cinderella tournament on the 8th of March, the 15th of March as well, which was obviously the Cinderella tournament final. Both these nights from Okinawa, the 20th and the 22nd. We've then got the 2 shows from Vegas, the 17th and the 18th, which I am under the impression they're going to be airing on Triller TV. And then you've got the show in Yokohama on the 27th of April. And that's not assuming that the Naito show in Korakuen on the 2nd of April is going to be a pay-per-view, which I don't think it is.
I was going to say, I think hopefully their make good is that it's a live stream, considering the fact that and I know they announced the whole entire card, but we got Mike and Mina, which is going to be great, and Tam versus Soriano, which is going to be great. And I just checked the tickets to all but one section is sold out. So my guess is another 1,400 easy on Stardom on the draw there. But yeah, maybe that's their make good. It's just like, hey, let's give this Korakuen Hall show not free, but basically if you're a Stardom World subscriber. And I don't think they released their schedule yet for April on Stardom World.
Haven't.
They usually do it. I mean, probably coming up pretty soon. So hopefully we'll find out. But that would be my guess. Is like, and will I pay for that show? First of all, it's Stardom, absolutely. 2, it looks like it is worthy of a few extra bucks, no problem. At the same time, it's like, let's cool it with these pay-per-views, because unfortunately not everybody, everybody's dollars stretched. Everybody's dollars stretched and they can't afford these pay-per-views. Just put this up on Stardom World and increase your subscribers there.
Yeah, again, and I think this has been highlighted by the fact that we have had so many recently. Had, the last pay-per-view been, I don't know, the Path of Thunder show, then I don't think there'd have been as much pushback. But again, I think it was a little bit much to ask for payment again when we've had 8 pay-per-views in just under 2 months. I think that's quite an achievement. Looking first at the exhibition match, Matt. Obviously, this was perhaps the match we didn't care about as much, with it being a company that wasn't Stardom. But what did you think of this exhibition for a local company that Stardom have given a little bit of airtime to?
Rob Goodwin, I'll be honest with you. This might be the first time in 3 years I've said this, that I actually didn't see this match.
Whoa.
Yes, and it has nothing to do with the competitors. I know some people are like, male wrestling on Stardom, this isn't for me. And I'm like, folks, Minoru Suzuki and Kota Ibushi have wrestled for Stardom before. Kenny Omega, calm down. I have no problem.
3 incarnations of Black Tiger.
Yeah, there you go. And again, we made mention this last week. I have no problem with this whatsoever. What had happened here is they said that the show was starting at said time, but they didn't say that the pre-show was. So I literally have a blank thing here. I was supposed to go back and watch it, and I didn't realize until we started the podcast. I did not watch said match, but I will go and watch it, because the 2 gentlemen to the right look fantastic, and the guy to the left looks like Eddie Edwards a little bit. So
he does look a little bit like
Eddie Edwards. He looks like Eddie. But how was I heard the match was pretty good. Again, obviously, me and you have a lot in common. What did you think about the match, my friend? This was what, on YouTube?
It was. This was the first match on YouTube. But first of all, I can't believe you haven't done your due diligence. It just shows a lack of care and a lack of respect for me as well.
I'll say this though, buddy. The Saturday show. I just want to let you know that after me, Amber, and my 11-year-old nephew played Monopoly until about 9 o'clock at not Monopoly on the PlayStation, I realized that the second show started at midnight. So I got up on less than about 2 hours of sleep and watched said show. So I know you talk about my lack of commitment all the time. I know you're still mad at me for about a year ago. I didn't travel from Pennsylvania to Los Angeles, California, all the way across the country to watch the Hanako pre-show match. I know you're still upset with me, buddy. So I guess waffles on me at the Waffle House. Maybe I'll get that forgiveness. But again, I apologize to all 4 of these wrestlers that I didn't get a chance to watch it. And again, it's just because it said it started at said time. And I didn't actually, no, I'm sorry. This was the Thursday show. So I actually didn't watch this until Friday, because I had work and I need to provide for my family. And so I was going to go back and watch this on YouTube, and I didn't. So that's my excuse on that one. But you know me, buddy, I don't believe in excuses. I don't want to hear excuses. So this is just a lack of judgment on my part. And I apologize to our fans fans of this match, these 4 competitors. Most importantly, buddy, I apologize to you. I apologize to you. So I can see on your face just how upset you are with me, my friend. Hopefully, Kirsty brought you some gin in that Stardom Cast cup, buddy, and hopefully it'll calm you down a little.
She did not.
Kirsty, gin.
It was good. It was a very high flying, quick pace match. Sort of akin to what you would see in Dragon Gate, which again I'm a massive fan of. There was a couple of really, really cool moments. The Firebird splash that obviously finished the match was great. Eddie Edwards was the one that took the pin, unfortunately. But yeah, again, it's one of those where it's the match where I only watched it because I turned it on at work, thinking it was on my lunch break, thinking that it was the Ankanai debut, and I just thought I might as well just watch it while it's on. So otherwise, I wouldn't have watched it either, to be perfectly honest.
Oh,
but yeah,
see, there you go. Put the guilt trip on me. Put the heat on me. That's okay.
absolutely, gotta do it, man. Gotta do it. But yeah, if you're short a couple of minutes, it's a good match to watch. But you're not missing anything if you don't see it. It's certainly not impactful. Moving on to the first match, and hopefully Matt has actually taken the time to watch this match. We've got Ann Kanai's debut. We've been very lucky in our crop of rookies, and you also mentioned that earlier on, Matt, with the likes of Isakura, Sayaka Kurora, Hanako, Ronnie Agami, Rian, and then more recently Akira Kurogane and Uriah Hime. Ann Kanai has possibly generated the most excitement from a single match in me of any of those rookies. Now, I was huge on Rani Yagami when she debuted, if you remember. This was tremendous. And I know that she is slightly older than the other debutantes. I believe she's 27. So there is a little bit more, if not wrestling experience, maybe life experience. I don't know. But she looked mightily impressive in this, not just because of her confidence and the way she came to the ring, but also in the stuff that she was attempting in her first ever match. Like that incredible body scissors into the pin. I was like, the hell is this? Like, she's been wrestling for literally 10 minutes? This is ridiculous. I am incredibly excited at the prospect of Ann Kanai. A really, really, really good debut, Matt.
Good. I'm glad you said so because I didn't see this. No, I'm just kidding, folks. I'm just kidding. Keeping the gimmick alive. No, I totally agree. I thought Ann Kanai, she was great. Again, entrance or timing. She does almost like a version of the Ferio Blink, which again is an absolutely insane.
That was unbelievable.
Dropkick's is really good. She was good the next night. And again, I just from the New Blood, as we're recording this, it was the same day as the New Blood show. The only match I watched so far was the open with Rena and Ann Kanai. And you think she was good here, buddy? She's even better. She's even better. Which again is an akin to Rena because Rena went out of her way to make her look really good. But the fact that she gets it this fast, and you're right, yeah, the fact that she's in her later 20s, she's not like some of the other Stardom rookies starting at 14, 15, 16 years old. But but at the same time, there's no wear and tear on her body from the years of wrestling. We talked about the crop of rookies we've seen over the last 2 years. Rana, obviously Yuzuki, but she's in Marigold, but she was a Stardom rookie. Rana, Hanako. You look at Uriah Hime. You look at Akira Kurogane, Matoi, who I know she's injured. Hopefully we see her back. As far as just this first few days and the buzz that she's getting on social media has eclipsed all of them. So again, not only was she great here, and I made mention of this before, the fact that Yuna Mizumori was tasked with her first match just goes to show you how great Yuna Mizumori is leading somebody in her first match to look this good. The fact that they trust Yuna saying, okay, yeah, we'll give you her first match. Let's see how well you can do it. And the pay-per-view opener, I know there was the pre-show. Bear with me. The pay-per-view opener, I thought they both delivered. I thought Yuna was great here. She took Ann Kanai by the hand, made her look really, really good. But at the same time, she really didn't need that much leading in her first match.
She didn't.
I thought this was great. And the fact that it went 11 minutes on your first match on pay-per-view, that's a lot of pressure. And again, phenomenal entrance as well. She's got charisma. She's got aura. She connects with the audience. The fact that you can do that in your first match, that takes years to learn, sometimes decades, folks. 3.5 stars for me. Again, I'm so excited for this new group of rookies, especially Ann Kanai. And again, who's she wrestling, Rob? She's in the ring with the best wrestlers in the world, the best roster in the world. She's going to be training with the Hazukis, the Shuris, being able to talk to the Mayus, the Momos, the Sayakamatanis. She's only going to get better and better faster, which is absolutely crazy. Again, look at Uriah Hime. Look at Akira Kirigami. Look at Rion. Look at Hanako. Look how much they've improved so fast, so quick. One of the reasons why is because she is in the ring and in the locker room and on the tour bus with the best of the best of the best. If she's this good now, what's she going to look like at the end of the year? You know what I mean? Just fantastic. Blown away. Couldn't be more excited.
Yeah, I think from an in-ring standpoint, I was a massive fan of Ron Yagami, still am. But I was a massive fan of Ron Yagami because she wrestled so differently to other Stardom rookies. In terms of in-ring, Victoria Yuzuki was the one that stood out to me, or Yuzuki as she was known then. And Kanai, for me, in this first match, showed such an incredible amount of potential. And like you said, that fairy blink, which, yeah, okay, it's not as quick as when Natsupoi does it, but nothing is. Like, come on. But to her to even try that in her first ever match in her hometown, on pay-per-view as well, is outrageous. And she nailed it as well. So, again, incredibly exciting. Stardom have unearthed a gem, it seems. So very exciting. Again. Moving on then, 8-woman tag, Hate versus God's Eye. Something I wanted to ask you, Matt. Obviously, Stardom have released today, and I was going to talk about this in the preview portion. Obviously, unfortunately, Momo Watanabe off the next couple of cards while she recovers from injury. It looks like this could be a little bit of a holdover from the AEW Revolution injury where she landed funny going for that top rope Samato. I didn't really see any sort of inkling that she was really, really injured. I'm hoping, he says, that it's just a little bit of a sprain and it just needs some time off it more than anything else.
I noticed in the match from the next night, which we'll talk about, the elimination match.
I noticed it more there.
She was moving pretty well, and then she did a snap nair kick, and I was even thinking, oh, she seems to be okay. And then as soon as after she did the kick and then she pivoted off, I think that she turned so much on the ankle that she put more aggravation on it. And you can see she was wincing, and then they wind up getting her, and it was probably by plan, they wind up getting out of her quick. And I had a lot of people message me either later that day or the next day saying, how come Momo Watanabe got eliminated as fast as they did? What are they doing with her? And I was like, clearly she's still injured. When that happens, and you can still compete and you're advertised for shows, you're in these multi-person matches, you need to be able to hide the weakness, hide the injury, and especially in elimination match, get said person out of there as soon as possible. So that's exactly what happened with her and Soriano, which we'll get into when we talk about the next show. And there wasn't much. She didn't do too much here. She didn't do enough where she put enough pressure on it. She really wasn't bumping. There was no running Samatos off the apron by any stretch of the imagination. But they did a good job covering for her here. They took her off this weekend show. She probably needs a week or two to recover. Hopefully the same is true for Starlight Kid. From what I understand, I think Natsupoi is back on these shows coming up this week.
She is.
So that's good. So again, I think Momo just needs a week or two to rest. Same thing with Starlight Kid. Hopefully they'll be back in time for Vegas and in Yokohama because, again, that's the big show. But as far as this match goes, I had 3.5 stars. I thought it was a solid enough match, a really good showing for Team Classroom with Hina and Lady C. We got a little bit more Tomoka versus Zusa violence. Again, fingers crossed, and I'm putting it out there in the ether. Hopefully we get that singles match in Yokohama. I think that's a really good possibility. Konami here was great, and again, so was Rina. Solid enough stuff, but I think the main thing was they were able to hide Momo's injury in this match. 3.5 stars for me, partner.
Yeah, obviously we hope it's nothing too serious. Moving on to O2 Line versus Micah and Rian. And look, we do need to talk about this. We need to get it out in the open. It does appear that Micah, who, she's the joint leader of EXV at the moment with Mina Shirakawa, but she is very shortly going to be taking over the reins full-time as the leader of EXV. We need to be talking about the corruption, I think, of Micah towards Rian, Matt.
Not only that, Rob, but you have obviously this Stardom was on spring vacation. They were pretty much in Okinawa for an entire week, and we saw lots of fun pictures on social media from
Looked
all
like they
the
were
star
having
wrestlers.
the absolute time of their life, didn't it?
Now, Rob, I always say wrestling is subjective. You can like what you like, but if the answer to this question is not Micah, you and everybody else asked this question to is wrong. The question is, who had the most fun on spring break? Definitely. I mean, again, you can like
Yeah,
what you like, but if you
absolutely.
don't
Yeah.
say it's Micah, there's something wrong with you. Like your shirt, I think it was the next night had like stains on it. It was almost like she didn't sleep in 2 days. Like she was just running on like Red Bull and beer.
Well, wasn't it her birthday while they were down there?
I think you're right. Yeah, it was. It
And
was
I'm
because
sure there was a video, and she was absolutely plastered.
it was because I tweeted out pictures of our meet and greet from last year at WrestleMania, and then the one other picture I tweeted out was because we gave her a Stardom Cast beer. She took a selfie of it and then put it on social media, and then I captioned that and I saved it. So my happy birthday message to her was my picture with her from the meet and greet, and then that with the beer. And then somebody either retweeted or comment section that said the Stardom Cast beer might have been the start of this new gimmick that she's been doing. So I don't know if we take credit / blame for it, but more on that, I guess, later. But
So by 6 degrees of separation, are we the issue with Rian? Is that what you're saying?
maybe we put the heat on Norm because it's his beer company.
I think so. I think
and
we
he-
should shift all possible blame.
Yeah, and the fact that Norm sold the company now, so now he's out. So there you go. It's a dead deal. It's a dead
There
deal.
you go.
So, there you go. Boom, done and done. We absolve of all issues. Yeah, you're absolutely. She had a blast here. Her and Rihanna as a team are really fun. O2 line, it's always great seeing them team up. We haven't seen them team up too much ever since after the Goddess tournament. There hasn't been too many like straight tag matches with them. It's mostly been multi-person. So this was fun stuff. I'll be honest with you, I thought I could have got a little more Micah in this match, Micah and Azumi. I thought this match was basically just kind of give Rihanna showing to see what she can do against Miyu Amasaki and Azumi. I thought she was really good. I selfishly just wanted more Mike and Azumi because they had a great match on that quarterfinal show of the 5-star Grand Prix after Azumi already wrestled 3 times. And then she had Micah in that match. Again, really good stuff. Great seeing O2 line here. I had a 3.5 stars. Again, most of this was just kind of a showing from Rian. Maybe because Mike is like, let's see how you wrestle drunk because, I don't know.
She might have a choice soon.
But I think it's really this whole Micah thing. I think is really, really fun. Obviously, Mina leaving. Do they change the name of the team? I have an idea where they might go. We'll get into that a little bit later, buddy, because I do want to pick your brain live on air with a certain something.
Well, that's terrifying.
No, it'll be fun.
I'm intrigued.
Why are you terrified? You're the one that yelled at me for not going to see Hanako. Perfect timing. Go ahead, good sir.
I'd forgot I'd done that. Hanako Ayasakura and Rani Agami. Again, this was sort of a build again of the heat between Hanako and Ayasakura heading into their New Blood Tag Team Championship match at New Blood, which happened as we record today. What do you think of this one, Matt?
This was fun enough. I mean, again, if you're on YouTube and you're looking at this render, Hanako she doesn't look too pleased. She looked like she needs a few Sapporo beers. Maybe right before they shot this render, she had to babysit Micah, considering the fact that she's Micah's main tag partner and Micah's the leader of this faction and she's the rookie. I don't know. This was fun. It was hard hitting. It was kind of a lot of pitching out of the ring, one-on-one stuff with eventually. I do like this finish with Ayasakura going for the triangle choke and then Hanako doing the Quentin Rampage Jackson Rampage bomb out of the triangle choke. Because if you know your Pride MMA back when they were before they sold the company to UFC, that's the only way to get out of the triangle choke was the Rampage bomb. And she did it as the finish here, which I really enjoyed. Fun match, hard hitting, another 3.5 stars for me, buddy.
Yeah, I like the build of the Hanako and Ayasakura stuff. And again, Ayasakura, who is now the Sendai Girls Junior Champion. Congratulations to Ayasakura again. And she's another one who's going from strength to strength. And this new render of Ayasakura, she looks like a badass in that render. Speaking of how angry Hanako looks, but yeah, brilliant stuff.
And so does Rani Igami, which we know she's a badass, but looks like that she's like trying to draw you in with her left hand, and as you get closer, she has that right hand cock like she's gonna punch you in the face. So I'm a little worried, buddy. So I'm ready for you to go to the next render, so I don't get hit in the face from the beat striker here.
Now I am just gonna say, and this is obviously just for our YouTube viewers, but there is there is one nail on Rani Yagami's hand that isn't painted black, and it's really bothering me. Like, I don't know if it's just come off or something like that, but I'm like, I can see it, and it's really bothering me.
Maybe
So
it's
we will.
Maybe it's where she twirls her drumstick, and it kind of rubbed off like sandpaper.
By the way, have you seen that video of her doing the drums to her own theme? Like,
Oh,
my
I need to
God,
see that, I guess,
she's so good. Like, when I first, she did, obviously we saw her do Lady C's theme, and that was really good. But this is like in like a pro studio and stuff like that. And honestly, she's so good. So she's adding fills in and all this and changing the tempo and the beat. Really, really good drummer. It's no wonder that she incorporates drumming into a wrestling stuff, because she is super talented.
Hopefully she'll drum for a little, maybe Tear Tails or Flowing or Double Frontier.
I don't think she needs to lower herself to that. I mean, what's the point, man? Tam Nakano's retiring, buddy. She's not going to be there.
Be the drummer on the retirement tour, buddy. You know what I mean?
Wow, think of the tickets they'll sell. Yeah, Stars versus Wingori and the Rookies. A little bit of a preview tag ahead of the Goddesses of Stardom Championship match. And I feel like it's a little bit of a rite of passage for the Rookies to face a very angry Hazuki. And we got to see bits of it here. I wish in a way, and this is a proper like bloodthirsty thing for me to say, but I wish we got more of Hazuki just beating down, especially Uriah Hime, who does such a really good job of being the underdog, like babyface in peril. I don't want to wish Hazuki beatdowns on anyone really, because they're so violent, but I think that would have been good. But it was a solid match, Matt, certainly.
This is actually my favorite match of this show, and not only was it Hazuki with the beatdowns, I think her and Mayu had a side bet on who can beat up the Rookies even more. I thought they gave enough. It was kind of like, we're going to beat up the Rookies in the beginning, we're going to give them a little bit of shine, and then we're going to beat them up again. Which again, it's just like, we're going to make you earn it. It's like, okay, they survived it. We'll give them some stuff, make them look good, and then we're going to beat them up again. But that's and again, that's what you want to do. You want to put a little bit of shine on the Rookies when you have four great talents on the other side with FWC and Peach Rock. I thought they played their role real well. Again, FWC was terrific. Mayu's Mayu. This match for me though was a mini preview. You mentioned before of Thunder. I wish Thunder Rock. Wow. Peach Rock, and Wingori especially. This match elevated Momo Kogo. Momo Kogo looked like an absolute badass here. Her and Hanan, that closing stretch was just fantastic. Really worked well together. Again, more chemistry from wrestlers in Stardom. We didn't know would have that good chemistry, but no, really good stuff there. I also like the violence with Saya Ida and Hazuki. That was really fun. With Saya Ida basically just coming in, but like, I saw you throw some violence. I'm gonna throw violence your way. With the chops and the lariats. I thought that was excellent stuff there. I'd love a really great teamwork to Hanan here. The double 619 from Peach Rock to Hanan. They followed that up with a big dive. Wingori hit the heart attack to Momo Kogo, which I really enjoyed. We get some more Peach Rock teamwork and great closing stretch. This match was solid, but those last 2 or 3 minutes of that like mini singles match with Momo Kogo and Hanan, I didn't know which way it was going to go. But Momo Kogo getting the win with the 619 DDT onto Hanan in the middle of the ring. Again, this is my favorite match of this show, 4.25 stars.
Yeah, for Momo Kogo to pin Hanan as well. And I know that obviously they were challenging for the tag titles the next night. But when you've got Uriah Hime and Akira Kurogane on that team who could quite easily take the pin and you can protect Hanan, I thought it was quite telling that Momo Kogo got the pin on Hanan. And obviously that led into a near fall during the Goddess of Stardom title match, which we'll be talking about shortly. Moving on then, speaking of new renders, Mina Shirakawa's render there, good grief, what a render that is. Cosmic Angels versus the Moonlight Venus. Matt, it's nice to see Tam and Mina in a ring together. I just wish there was a chance that Mina could get that win back that we mentioned earlier.
Yeah, speaking of renders, look like Tam's about to elbow poor Mina Shirakawa here.
It does.
They're pretty close. This was we knew once this match was announced, we were like, Waka's taking the fall. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? Waka and Mina, they're another really underrated tag team. Tam and Soriano, they're terrific together. You know, they're just coming off a really great run as 2/3 of the Artists of Stardom champions with obviously Natsupoi. Excellent stuff with Mina and Tam here. And again, the fact that they really teased quite a bit with Mina and Tam makes me think that that match on the 6th is going to be Tam versus Mina. Again, Mina's final match in Stardom in Japan, at least for, you know, who knows, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. That all depends on what the future holds. But I thought this was great. I thought Mina and Soriano, they had a great match on the final night of the 2023 5-Star Grand Prix. Really great stuff there between the two of them. Mina here was just great. And we mention all the time, even though she hasn't had anything to really sink her teeth into in the last, 8, 9, 10 months, whenever she's put in the ring, her segments are always great. She understands crowd psychology. She knows how to sell. She knows how to make other people in the match look really, really good. A solid enough match. Again, makes me want to watch a Tam versus Mina match, singles match, and we have not had that since 2023, so almost 2 years. Again, fingers crossed. Hopefully that's the match that we're getting on the 6th. I mean, can you just imagine Tam's retirement road is Soriano on the 2nd, and then 4 days later, Mina Shirakawa. I mean, really great way to kind of not just retirement. Let's put retirement road on the side. A great way to build her up towards that main event match in Yokohama. I mean, let's put it that way. That's what it would be. Again, it's all enough stuff. 8.5 minutes. 12 minutes. I thought was enough time to tell their story with obviously Tam getting the Tiger suplex on Waka. And again, Waka was great here. Soriano, Tam sold for her, fed for her. They bumped all around for her. Tam hit the Tiger suplex at the end. 3 3/4 stars for me.
Semi-main event then, Crazy Star and BMI 2000. And this, again, the match itself is secondary to the continued breakdown in communication between Mei Seira and Suzu Suzuki. Obviously, this ended up with Suzu Suzuki taking the mist, taking the Death Valley driver, and then obviously taking the freezer drop as well. Post-match, Mei Seira attempts to give Suzu an ice pack. And you can tell, by the way, from the very moment Crazy Star come out, there is tension there. They don't talk. They don't look at each other. There is tension there. Mei Seira tries to give her an ice pack following the match. Suzu absolutely launches this ice pack back at her. Like, there's no pulling that. She, honestly, it's incredible. It really, really is how hard she throws this. Patrick Mahomes would be impressed with how hard she spirals this ice pack back at Mei Seira. Storms from the ring. She goes in one direction. Mei Seira storms off in the other direction. You've got Miyu Amasaki running after Suzu. You've got Azumi chasing after Mei Seira, and BMI 2000 just laughing because they've got the win. Again, I mentioned this last week. I don't want to see Crazy Star break up. They're one of the best tag teams in this company. They're one of the most entertaining tag teams to watch in the world, in my opinion. And obviously Neo Genesis, the chemistry between them, I just think it's a little bit too early to start sowing those seeds of dissent. However, Stardom clearly have a plan for Suzu Suzuki. We don't know what that plan is going to be, and until that's played out, I'm certainly not going to judge it. Here, Matt, as I mentioned, this is very much about the story as opposed to the match.
Yeah, again, the match was 3.5 stars. I gave it. It was good enough, but the story was
fine.
More, the match was more. The angle is more important. You can't have Crazy Star being 100% Crazy Star because you need them to have dissension. And obviously, you have your heels in BMI 2000, a great tag team that's going to take advantage of that. Again, the story is more important than the match, and that happens. That needed to happen here. Yeah, obviously you have more miscommunication. You have just Torret and Ruwaka being the heels, taking advantage of it, getting the win. You're getting more heat on the heels, and you're still kind of scratching your head saying, what is going on with Crazy Star? And I agree. We made mention this last week when we really started to see this story starting to unfold. Be like, okay, I can see them, Suzu eventually leaving Neo Genesis. But why so soon? You figured, why couldn't we wait until maybe the end of the year or, sometime maybe after the 5-star? And now, again, this is just kind of me spitballing. This is what I wanted to throw out. Micah needs a second. Micah needs that hammer as a second. Zena's still on the shelf. Every single faction pretty much has your main eventer and then your secondary main eventer. Obviously, with Hate, you have Saya, Momo, Tora, obviously Cosmic
Yeah.
Angel. Yeah, I don't need to go through everything, but yeah, I mean, stars. I guess Tomoka Inaba. It's kind of it's kind of your second there, where it's like you don't
God's
have.
eye.
Yeah, or yeah, excuse me, God's Eye with Syuri, and then I would probably say Tomoka Inaba. But now with Mina leaving, it's like, okay, Xena's on the shelf. Hanako's a little over a rookie. You have Walker Rion there. You need that hammer. Suzuki and Micah on the same team. Again, to quote Paul Heyman when he first discovered the Public Enemy, when he first discovered them, he said they were great opponents. Let them put them as a tag team and let's see what happens. And that's what really drove ECW in 94, 95 was the team of Public Enemy. I think obviously we know Micah and Suzuki have great chemistry as opponents, which probably means they have great chemistry as a tag team. Maybe this is why they're breaking them up a little bit earlier than we would like, is to put Suzu over to EXV. Maybe they changed the name of the team because I don't think anybody in that team is a Venus. Maybe they changed the name of the team. And now look at the absolute killers you have in that faction. Hanako, Micah, Xena when she comes back, Suzuki. That's a heck of a top four there in that faction or whatever. If if they're going to stay EXV, that would be my guess. Rob, is again, Mina's leaving. We need a big backup for Micah. Suzuki's a damn good shout, and again, it's something different. It's something different that we haven't seen Micah and Suzu on the same team. But can you imagine Micah and Suzuki taking on a Wingori, taking on an FWC? I mean, that would be some tasty, tasty matchups, my friend.
You're not wrong. That would be really good. I hadn't thought about that because obviously looking at the matches ahead, I know they're facing Hate a lot. And I was really worried that they were just going to put Suzuki in the Hate shuffle. And we spoke last week about why that's such a poor idea or why that's a bad idea from a booking standpoint. But her as a member of EXV, you're absolutely right. Whether they dissolve EXV and create a new faction with those same members, I don't know how far away Xena is from return. Hopefully not long, because she's a great asset to have. But yeah, Susan Mike is a really, really interesting one. You do need another, if not main eventer, certainly just under that, a semi-main eventer, which you don't have at the moment, and which EXV have been lacking somewhat, especially with Mina Shirakawa in and then she's out, and then she's in and then she's out. I'm really intrigued to know if that's going to... It wouldn't surprise me, and I think outside of Neo Genesis, it's certainly the best fit for Suzu, definitely.
Think about this. We know Cork and Hall is a legendary venue. Wild matches. Just think of when we saw Mike and Tora at the end of the year have that insane hardcore match. Think about Tora, Tekla versus Micah, Suzuki. Hardcore rules, Cork and Hall. Folks, hang on to your seats and merchandise because that would be a bloody, bloody wild mess in the best way possible.
It really would. Sorry, I'm just having a look, and I think I've missed a match off my preview of the Corrigan Hall show because I don't have any of Neo Genesis on there. Moving on then to the main event of Okinawa Night 1. Of course, it was a special singles match. Saya Kamitani versus Sayaka Kurora. This played out pretty much exactly as I think everyone assumed it would do. Saya Kamitani dominating vast swathes of this match. There was a couple of hope spots for Sayaka Kurora, mostly because Saya Kamitani was being an arrogant dick, which was great. Really plays into her character. I'm so much better than you. I'm obviously going to beat you. Sayaka Kurora just being a really good underdog babyface, which she's been doing throughout the Cinderella tournament. Obviously, eventually the Star Crusher too much and it was a really good transition into it as well. I love the fact that she's just able to catch that spear and then haul her up for the Star Crusher. It works really well. I would have perhaps liked it to go just a little bit longer with it only going 12 minutes, but that's my only real complaint about it. A solid enough main event, but I think this did suffer from not having that blow-away singles match that Saya Kamitani versus Starlight Kid would have been, Matt.
Yeah, I think this was the best replacement because, again, this was almost like a last-minute replacement. You got Sayaka Kurora coming off the Cinderella tournament. You have this story with her and Saya Kamitani. And also you have, again, the pay-per-view main event in front of almost 600 people. Good way to get Sayaka Kurora conditioned to the big matches. And really, Saya Kamitani does a great job taking care of her. Really, really did. And again,
She
another
really
reason
does.
Another reason why I will apologize for what happened last year on the heel turn on Saya Kamatani, because not only is it working, but she's the perfect 1970s. She's like, in this match, she's like the 1970s, 1980s NWA traveling world champion heel, where she's wrestling somebody, no disrespect to Sayaka Kurora, wrestling somebody beneath her. Again, most of the wrestlers on the planet are beneath Saya Kamatani because she's so good, but she makes her look credible against the best wrestler in this company, kayfabe or not, because she is holding the red belt. So again, Rob Goodwin, first of all, this match starts off with the lockup of the night, and that always gets extra points for me.
I knew you'd love it.
So obviously, Saya Kamatani is just being a bully to Sayaka Kurora. Sayaka Kurora makes her comeback, fiery comeback we saw pretty much in every match in the Cinderella tournament. And Kamatani, again, the best wrestler in this the best wrestler in this company, and will probably finish very high on my ranking for wrestler of the year in all of wrestling. The way that she's going, bumping and feeding, and the facials of her showing like I'm in trouble here. Like I'm in trouble. I got a little bit too cocky. I'm in trouble, which the crowd was popping for because that's what you want. Again, Sakura is great. Don't get me wrong. Saya Kamatani really made her look like she belongs in the main event scene against the red belt champion, which again is just kudos to how great Saya Kamatani is. Just really unbelievable. Yeah, eventually though, it's a little bit too much for Sayaka Kurora. Saya Kamatani is able to rally the comeback with the kicks, stops the spear, hits the Star Crusher. 4 stars for me. Again, solid enough stuff, but and it was a nice replacement for Starlight Kid. I think Starlight Kid's best matches in her career, and she's had some great ones, are against Saya Kamatani. The match from last year's 5-star Grand Prix, I think her best match ever was 3 years ago, the white belt match with Saya Kamatani.
Yeah.
We knew we weren't going to get that level here. No disrespect to Sayaka Kurora, but Starlight Kid is on another level. Again, I totally this would have been blown away. If we had that match on as the main event, we would have said that match alone was worth our pay-per-view money. Fortunately, injuries happen. Good shot to get Sayaka Kurora in the main event to get her familiar with that scene. Saya Kamatani did a great job bumping and feeding and making her look like a threat to the champion, even though in a non-title match. Again, 4 stars for me, but a lot of credit goes to Saya Kamatani being unselfish and making the young wrestler look really good.
So moving on then from that show, they had a day where they did autographs and signings before we had the second night of the Okinawa pay-per-views. Again, from the exact same venue, Saturday, the 22nd of March, 2025. Okinawa Convention Center, an attendance of 572 this time, which is a 5.7% increase from the show on the 20th of March. A couple of factors that probably played into this, perhaps due to the fact that there's a title match on this card and the fact that this was a Saturday as opposed to a Thursday. I imagine both played big parts in that. In terms of the results then for this show, they are as follows. We open with a 6-woman tag. EXV team of Maika, Mina Shirakawa, and Hanako defeated the team of Akira Kuragani, Uriah Hime, and Ann Kanaya, with Hanako pinning Ann Kanaya with the brainbuster in 11 minutes and 42 seconds. In a 3-way match, Miyu Amasaki defeated Waka Tsukiyama and Saki Kashima. Miyu rolling up Waka with the Amana Hashidate in 6 minutes and 48 seconds. In a singles match, a really entertaining singles match, by the way, Tomoka Inaba defeated Rian with the one-hit kill Tomoka kick in 10 minutes and 28 seconds. In a tag team match that was as good as we predicted it being, FWC, Hazuki, and Koguma, they defeated the Devil Princess team of Rina and Azusa Inaba. Koguma rolling up Azusa Inaba with the Kuma roll in 9 minutes and 2 seconds. 6-woman tag match followed this. The God's Eye team of Hina, Lady C, and Rani Yagami defeated the Neo Genesis team of Azumi, Mei Seira, and Suzu Suzuki, with Rani Yagami rolling up the high-speed champion with the Paradiddle in 9 minutes and 18 seconds. So lots of roll-ups on this show. 10-woman elimination tag team match. This was a great match. The Cosmic Angels team getting the win with Tam Nakano the final elimination, eliminating Saya Kamatani. Tam, Syuri, Aya Sakura, Sayaka Kurora, and Yuna Mizumori defeating the team of Saya Kamatani, Tora, Ruaka, Konami, and Momo Watanabe. As I mentioned, Tam Nakano getting that final elimination over Saya Kamatani with the Violet Screwdriver in 22 minutes and 7 seconds. Then drinking the blood, That was a bit gross. And then in the main event, the Goddesses of Stardom Championships match, Wingori, Hanan and Saya Ida, the champions, defending their belts successfully for the second time against the Peach Rock team of Mayu Iwatani and Momo Kogo. Saya Ida flattening Momo Kogo with a lariat in 17 minutes and 37 seconds. So, Matt, we opened up the show once again with Ann Kanaya, but in a 6-woman tag match. Entertaining again, and again, another good performance from Ann Kanaya.
Yeah, again, if you're on YouTube looking at this render, it looks like that they're all on the beach, which is pretty much where Micah pretty much came from right before the start of this match.
Yeah, it did look like she just rolled in from the beach, yeah.
Yeah, again, Ann Kanaya I thought was great here. Again, you have the rookies taking on, you have Mina Shirakawa, you're one of your big stars, obviously, going to AEW, and your finalist of the Goddesses of Stardom tournament. Obviously, Micah is one of, if not your biggest star in this company right now. So we kind of know how this was going to go. But again, Mina and Micah did a great job leading the match, giving the rookies enough, especially on Kanai. You're absolutely right. They made sure they highlighted her really well in this match, only for Hanako to put her away. Excellent enough stuff, or solid enough stuff. 3.25 stars. And again, all three of these rookies looked really, really good. And again, you have Mina and Micah, two of your big main eventers in this company. They did a great job making sure the rookies look better than they did. The rookies look better coming out of this match than they did going in, which is just a great sign of a really good veteran.
Moving on then to the final show of the YouTube feed, which was the 3-way Miyu Amasaki, Waka Tsukiyama, and Saki Kashima, which went about as well as you can imagine in a 3-way with Saki Kashima. Waka Tsukiyama had a miserable time in Okinawa. She ate the pinfall in both matches. Someone compared her to those little dog things, said she looked like one of those when she didn't smile, and she put it on Twitter. Yeah, so that really made me laugh. But yes, overall, Miyu Amasaki getting the win here.
A lot of comedy, a lot of fun. I mean, again, this is your second match of the show. You're going a little over 6 minutes with 3 wrestlers. Again, 3-ways are tough to do. You're a lot of comedy, a lot of gaga. I mean, it had its place in this card. Fun enough stuff. 3.25 stars for me.
Tomoka Inaba versus Rian then. It's always nice when we see Rian in singles competition because it becomes very obvious how much she's developed. And I think in this performance with Tomoka Inaba, she showcased that. Tomoka Inaba, again, that one-hit kill Tomoka kick, she does rattle that into her opponent. She really does. I would like to see her now progressing slightly up the card. So, yeah, it's great to see her get a singles victory, especially as you mentioned before. We seemed to be building towards something between her and Starlight Kid. I would like to see her, no disrespect to Rian, get a more high-profile singles victory. You know, someone who's up in that upper mid card, maybe defeating a Hanan, which is why I wanted to see that in the Cinderella tournament. Maybe defeating a Suzu, even if that's, you know, because of miscommunication in Neo Genesis, whatever that is. I'd like to see her get that more high profile victory.
I'll see your Hanan and I'll raise you a Soriano. I mean, who doesn't want to see that match?
Yeah.
Yeah, again, we made mention of possibly opponents for Starlight Kid. And it has to be a banger of an opponent for, again, several reasons, because the 3 matches we have for Yokohama are like, well, match of the year probably, match of the year probably, match of the year probably. We mentioned Azumi. We mentioned a rematch with Natsupoi. We know they've been building something up with Tomoka Inaba versus Starlight Kid. Wouldn't be heartbroken if that's the match we get for Yokohama. Nope. And as far as this match goes, partner, I thought this was great. You know, you give Rihanna and Tomoka Inaba over 10 minutes to tell their story. That Rihanna, and especially in the beginning, they had some really good ground pummeling, some really good ground exchanges between the two. Rihanna's really able to keep up with Tomoka Inaba. And I made mention this pretty much almost every single show during the 5-star Grand Prix. As great as Tomoka's striking is, and they're fantastic, her submission and ground game is just as good. It's very underrated. We always focus on how hard of a hitter Tomoka Inaba is, but she's a great, great submission wrestler as well. And we were able to see this in this match. Again, Rihanna really fighting from behind, but it's just the explosiveness of Tomoka was just too much, putting her away with that penalty kick, aka the 1-shot, 1-kill Tomoka kick for the 3 count. Solid stuff. 3 3/4 stars for me, partner.
What we assumed might be a number one contendership match for the Goddesses of Stardom Championships up next, and turned out that yes, it was. FWC defeating Devil Princess, the established best tag team in the division. I know that you think it's Wingori. I'm still of the opinion that it's FWC, but again, it's 1A and 1B. Yeah, absolutely. And one of the fastest rising tag teams in this division. Again, had a tremendous Goddess of Stardom tag league and had a really good match against Hazuki and Koguma here, Matt.
Yeah, consider in fact Devil Princess, their combined ages, I think, is younger than mine, because Rena's what, 18 and Zeus is 17, so that puts it what, 35? Yeah. So
only a year older than me, yeah.
That's all right. Hey, we both look sprite. By the way, I just realized that as I kind of blew up my screen here on my end, our hair, buddy, looking phenomenal. We're both looking very dapper today. I know. Yeah, again, FWC is terrific. I mentioned all the time, I don't have a favorite wrestler, but if I'm forced to pick one, it's Hazuki. I love Hazuki. Her and Koguma, again, either FWC or Wingori, probably the best tag team in all of wrestling. My one complaint about this match is I wish it went longer. I wish it went longer. 9 minutes. It still was really good. I gave it 4 stars. But I thought this went like 14, 15, 16 minutes, and they really drug out those big, long, false finishes that we've seen both teams be able to do. This would have been like, oh, this is a must-see tag match. Do they have a better tag match in them? Sure. Was this still really good? Absolutely. Really great stuff with Rina and Hazuki. Again, the teamwork from both teams was great. You had a little bit of everything in this match. You had a little bit of a hate jump in the beginning, which didn't last too long because Hazuki wasn't playing it, and then we had the bear chase was on. So we had that. So you had kind of your heel stuff in the beginning, Hazuki halting the heel stuff because, hey, I'm a badass here. That's not going to work. That doesn't work for me, sister. And then Kaguma's just like, okay, we got the advantage back. How do I take advantage of this? Hey, let's have some fun. Bear chase. It is spring break, Rob. It is spring break. So, really fun stuff there. Again, really great back and forth teamwork between both these teams. Eventually, we do get a little bit of a mini match with Zusa Inaba and Koguma at the end, with Hazuki pretty much wiping out Rina. Koguma gets the win with the Kuma roll. 4 stars for me, partner. Again, really good match. I just wish it would have went that 13, 14, 15, 25, 35 minutes.
Again, I imagine that this is a match we're going to see in years to come with titles on the line. And I imagine that we are going to get an even better match, which the very premise of that excites me greatly, because again, not only have we got the established great team in FWC, but we've also got Rina, who's on the run of a lifetime, it seems, at the moment, and Azusa Inaba, who's come out of that Cinderella tournament looking like a completely made person. That's very exciting to me. Moving on then, and Matt Turner. Mei Seira was not playing during this match. The 6-woman tag, Neo Genesis versus God's Eye. Obviously, huge for Rani Yagami to get the pinfall over the high-speed champion Mei Seira. I'm assuming that is going to be a match sooner rather than later, though it hasn't been announced for Korakuen, which is quite interesting. We've got that in the back pocket, though, for later shows. There is a Korakuen later on in April. I'm wondering if it's going to be there. But Suzu snapped at Mei, and Mei fought back. Now, I think Suzu's very brave to fight Mei Seira, because anybody that has watched the Bob Sasaki Crazy Fest show and has seen the gif of how proficient Mei Seira is with a knife, I think Suzu Suzuki is a very brave person. She is playing with fire in going after Mei Seira. But yeah, things came to a head in this match, Matt.
One thing I did want to point out, and obviously what I'm about to say, I clearly debunked a little bit ago when I said Suzu's probably going to EXV, but obviously when this because of obviously Mina leaving, well, everybody was kind of like, oh, I wonder if Suzu's going to go to Hate. And I was kind of thinking about this, Rob, about a week or so ago. I think it's Mei Seira that would go to Hate, because Mei Seira is feuding with Suzu and feuding with Hanan. So, I mean, what's the common denominator here? And she doesn't have knee pads, and she has a sword. So
exactly.
technically, Suzu's kind of the bad person here, right? And yeah, I mean, to the point where sweet Mariah May, had to stuff her in a locker, and had an incident with her at last year's WrestleCon. So I mean, what the heck? But again, this match was a lot about Suzu and May, but they were able to get a lot of the match over. And I think a lot of that was because you had other participants in here. We had a little bit of a mini match several times with May and Rana. Not just any match, it was a lot of high speed. I'm like, okay, Rana can go the high speed style, and she's high speed violent. I'm all for that. Again, Azumi was kind of the glue that kind of held Crazy Star together in this match. And then you have Team Classroom. Again, Hina was terrific here. They're doing a good job building her up. I'm assuming she's going to have, not assuming, I know she's going to have a really good run as the future of Stardom champion. Lady C was great here. I love it when she comes in and cleans house with a big boot, and then she puts not one but two members of Neo Genesis in the abdominal stretch, and we've seen her do that before. I thought that was really good stuff. We get the three-way Neo Genesis dropkick to Rana Yugami. I was like, oh, we're all on the same page here. Again, Azumi really kind of being the glue to kind of hold this team together, at least for a certain spot. Crazy Star, they avoid disaster, the lung blower German suplex spot. I thought that was, we've seen that happen before, but they Suzu winds up getting out of the way, and you can tell she was not too pleased that she almost got another lung blower from another an apparent miss from our high speed champion. Rana Yagami and Suzu accidentally head kicks May Sarah, and that was, oh boy, she threw that with vigor. When she hit it, she was like, whatever, it is what it is. That eventually led to the paradiddle roll-up pin from Rana onto May. I'm with you, partner. I want to see Rana versus May Sarah. If that's a match we go for Yokohama for the high-speed championship, I would not be disappointed. I'd like to see maybe May and Suzu have a singles match there. Again, we'll see. Regardless, again, great job on Azumi trying to play peacemaker in this match, but there was just way too much violence with Suzu and May. Really good stuff here. I had it at 4 stars, terrific match, and then we saw a huge brawl with May and Suzu afterwards. Again, really interesting to see where they go from here, partner. Really interesting.
Yeah, I imagine that this angle is going to play out at Korakuen. Where
that's next week, right? The 2nd. Wow, yeah, we're in April next week. Holy jeepers.
Wednesday, and oh no, it might actually be Tuesday. Hang on 1 second. It might actually be Tuesday.
I think it's Wednesday, or is it Thursday?
It is Wednesday. It's Wednesday. Okay. But again, they're wrestling against hate. Which is why I was very much like, please don't join hate, please don't join hate, please don't join hate, please don't join hate. But I do wonder if this is where we get the official sort of Suzu leaving Neo Genesis, especially as it's all of Neo Genesis aside from Starlight Kid, who's obviously out injured. I do wonder if that's going to be where we get that blow off. Excellent for Rana Yagami, by the way, who I feel like obviously because of the big angle between Suzu and May, her win got lost a little bit, but great stuff for her. And obviously I'm hoping that she does parlay that into a high-speed title match, because I think her versus May Sarah is a really good dynamic.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Let's put it over. Let's put it over here. Let's not get lost in the shuffle. Rana Yagami MVP in that match.
Hell yeah. Elimination match between Cosmic Angels and Hate. Second favorite match off the card, obviously behind the main event. This was tremendous. Added a bit of brutality and also reminded everyone that Tam Nakano, if you remember when she was the white belt champion and Saya Kamatani failed to capture it from her, Tam Nakano made that comment where she said, you don't know what it is to get down and dirty and do whatever it takes to keep your title. And that's always resonated with me whenever these two have squared off together. And I feel like recently Saya has gone further than Tam. And today, or with this show, Tam went, you know what? I'm going full psychopath. So not only did she bust Saya Kamatani's nose open, she also then took the blood with her finger and put it in her mouth. Gross.
Vampire.
To start with. Vampire. Yes.
Vampire Tam. She's a vampire Tam.
Maybe that's how she comes back. She just comes back under a different gimmick, like Fuking and Death.
She does the Aleister Black. Remember Aleister Black in the big NXT? He'd come out like from the coffin and stuff like that. That's what she does. Yeah, and since she has like a super crazy hard rock version of her theme. Oh, there it is.
I don't want a theme to change, because I do think it'd be really funny if she's coming out of this coffin and you've still got Twilight playing. Just the complete disparity between the two. Yeah, just blowing kisses and there's blood everywhere. But yeah, obviously Tam ramping up the intensity here, which is obviously what is needed as we head into Yokohama. And as we've been doing this podcast, I do wonder if part of the reason they're keeping Tam and Saya off the Vegas cards is literally to keep them apart so we don't get oversaturated with exchanges between the two. Because again, you can only intensify this so far before people start to go, right, okay, I'm sick of this now. I just want to see the match. And maybe it is a little bit of the absence makes the heart grow fonder. You've gone to a Stardom show in Vegas, but you know that this is the feud you want to see. It just ramps up your anticipation for that. And I wonder if that had a little bit to do with it as well, Matt.
Yeah, again, sometimes these elimination matches can be a little tricky to do because it's like, okay, let's just get so and so out to get to the main story. And they're Stardom, they're always good. This is one of the better ones that they've done over the last few years. I totally agree with you. This is my second favorite match of the show behind the main event. It's probably my second favorite match of these two shows, again, behind the main event, which we'll get to. Again, you look at this match and it's like, okay, we're going to build a little bit more to Tam and Saya. And usually when they use these elimination matches with your captains or your main eventers, usually main eventers kind of double eliminate each other, like elimination 2 or 3, where they're like, no, we're going for a new formula and we're going to have another wrinkle into this feud that is Tam and Saya Kamatani. And their closing stretch was great. For some reason, Rob, as much as they've wrestled each other in the last 7, 8, 9 months, it's still fresh. It's still a match that I want to see. And I'm so excited to see what they're going to do. And a little afraid what they're going to do in Yokohama.
Especially after this.
Yeah. And not only that, but what they've been doing in their matches they've had over the last, few years. But again, really good stuff here. I'm going to kind of go through all the eliminations real quick. Soriano pins Momo Watanabe with the Potter ring. We talked about getting Momo Watanabe out of this match early because of her ankle. You don't want to do any further damage. Smart taking her off the next round of show so she can heal. Again, hopefully that's all that it is. Hopefully a 2 or 3 week recovery time. And I want to see Soriano versus Momo Watanabe singles match sooner than later once Momo is fit because their chemistry was really good. Speaking of really good chemistry, Rob, Konami versus Yuna Mizumori. Wow. Yeah, wow. Really again, Konami's just been fantastic. The match with Starlight Kid, she's had great chemistry with Azumi in these Neo Genesis First Hate matches, which again I'm really excited for their match at Dragon Gate because Konami and Tora are across the ring from Starlight Kid and Azumi. But really great stuff here. Konami submits Tora via the Triangle Answer, and then we have Konami and Aya Sakura. Again, they had really great exchanges because most of their offense is based on hitting you as hard as humanly possible. That was great stuff. Konami, low-key MVP of this match. Again, great stuff with Yuna, great stuff with Aya. They have the double over-the-top rope elimination. Ruaka eliminates Soriano with a bat shot from Momo Watanabe. Tam Nakano eliminates Ruaka with the over-the-top rope. Sayaka Kurora and Tora, they have a double elimination. That comes down to Tam and Saya Kamatani. Phenomenal stuff. For some reason, they as much as they go back to it, they're still making it interesting. It's still a match that I want to see. They keep ramping up the violence. We had some near falls here. We had some more hate interference. We had the mist into Tam. We had Saya Kamatani all bloody. So you have the blood, the sweat, the mist, all playing into Tam Nakano hitting an insane violent screwdriver. And I don't know if you've seen the picture, Rob. We make mention all the time. There is some phenomenal people that go to these Stardom shows that take pictures, that follow our accounts. But there is one as Tam is coming right down on this violent screwdriver. And you can kind of see where the protection is, how she's protecting Saya Kamatani. But it is a wonderful photo. It's just absolutely insane. Like the velocity she hits with said move. Excellent stuff. Again, 4.25 stars for me. I thought this was terrific. Somehow they're keeping making Tam versus Saya Kamatani more and more interesting as much as they go back to it. I don't think I'll ever get sick of it, which is an art of its own of not only Tam and Saya, but the other members of Cosmic Angels and Hate as well.
Going on to the main event then, Goddesses of Stardom Championships. There's a couple of things to come from this. To start with, it was a predictably great match. We knew it would be. The onus was put on Momo Kogo, which is great because she's tremendous. But if Mayu Iwatani is to leave, I want to see her versus Hanan in a singles match so much. Not only because of the passing of the torch and sort of the the emblematic stuff just because they meld so damn well together. And speaking of melding well together, how good was that closing stretch between Syuri and Momo Kogo? Like, the athleticism and speed of Momo Kogo, the power of Sayarida, those lariats. I think Momo Kogo gave an absolutely outstanding account of herself. We knew that Wingori were probably going to retain. Even so, a really, really, really good match. And do you know what's frightening, Matt? There's probably a better match in there between them.
Yeah, I totally agree. And again, if you're watching this on YouTube, it's Saida looks really small here. Like she really, really does.
She really does, yeah.
Maybe her feet is sinking in the sand, buddy. Maybe her feet is sinking in the sand. I totally agree. This was my favorite match of these two shows. We knew this was going to be great, and it was great. And I agree that I think they have a better match in them, which is crazy because, again, just the run that Wingori has been on these last 4 or 5 months. I like how it begins with the tag team work. Like Wingori's like, we're the tag champs. We're the best tag team in this company. That's why we have the belts. They start off with the teamwork on Momo Kogo, and then eventually how Peach Rock gets the advantage back is their great teamwork. They're great at the tag team. They do this one spot where Saida comes running, Mayu Iwatani's in the corner, and Momo Kogo comes running at Mayu, and Mayu bandanas Momo over the top rope. By the time Momo Kogo, his feet hit the floor or hits the apron, Mayu super kicks her opponent, which this time it's Saida, which it comes off like a gunshot. I mean, Mayu properly threw that super kick at poor Saida, and then Momo Kogo vaults herself in the ring 180 degrees, and then is able to do a 180-degree crossbody. We've seen them do that quite a bit. This was great here, especially the sell from Saida. Yeah, Hanan and Mayu, their stuff towards the end here where they're kind of trying to take each other out. So this way, Saya will get the advantage, or their Momo Kogo will get the advantage. Eventually, they do take each other out, but you're absolutely right. Hanan versus Mayu singles match, hopefully somewhere down the line. Again, we shall see. We shall see. But that closing stretch with Saida and Momo Kogo, especially Saida, those two violent lariats, putting away Momo Kogo just would not go away in this match. Her fighting spirit, her like, no, this is the biggest match of my career. And she sure showed out here. They did a great job making sure everybody knew Momo Kogo is the big star in this match, considering the fact the other 3 people in this match. I thought Momo Kogo, very much like on night 1 of this spring vacation, was the MVP of said match. Ultimately, just for Saida to hit an insane sliding lariat, putting away Momo Kogo. 4 1/4 stars for me, my friend. And we've been saying this almost every week for the last 2 years. It's another week in Stardom. It's another must-see tag match in Stardom's catalog.
Absolutely. And what a great way to sign off this pay-per-view. And Matt, today, obviously, we know that FWC were nominated as the next challengers for those Goddesses of Stardom tag belts. We have already, of course, gone into that in the news. But again, that also promises to be another great tag team match. We are then going to be looking at the shows that Stardom have announced today. Obviously, on the 29th, which is the Saturday, they are going to be in Takurazawa at the Takura Town Hall. That card is as follows: Maika and Mina Shirakawa versus Rian and Uriah Hime. Zaki Kashima versus Akira Kuragani versus Rina. Rice or Bread, Hanako and Waka Tsukiyama versus Ankanaya and Miyu Amasaki. The Stars team of Azuki Koguma and Momo Kogo versus the Cosmic Angels team of Yuna Mizumori, Aya Sakura, and Sayaka Kurora. Another Stars trio, this time Mayu Iwatani, Hanan, and Sayarida. They're going to be taking on the Hate trio of Natsuko Tora, Konami, and Ruaka in what is currently the semi-main event. Neo Genesis, Azumi Meisei, and Suzu Suzuki, and CMLL's Tabata. She is going to be teaming with Neo Genesis against God's Eyes team of Tomoka Inaba, Lady C, Hina, and Rani Yagami. And then in what is your main event, Cosmic Angels team of Tam Nakano and Sioriano versus the Hate team of Saya Kamatani and Azusa Inaba. Matt, obviously the main event aside, what else are you drawn to?
Those 2 Stars 6-person tag matches, they should be fun. And seeing how Anna Kanai looks, again, ever improving. No Syuri on this card again, huh, partner?
No, I believe that she either has been in a film or she might be doing press for the film. I know that Rani Yagami and Tomoka Inaba have both said about seeing the film or seeing Syuri's cameo.
And I think Kyoto Katatsu has something with that as well, because we haven't seen her in quite some time. Not unless she's out injured. I don't think she is. I could be wrong, but I think Kyoto is doing either stunt work or she's in the movie as well. Again, I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, let me know.
I don't know. We haven't seen Kyoko Katatsu in what seems like forever.
Month.
She was, however, on a God's Eye photo that they took recently with all of them. So obviously she's still there. Fingers crossed. She's still present. Fingers crossed everything is okay there. Moving on then to Sunday, March 30th, when Stardom are in Hachioji in the Tokyo Tama Mirai mess. That card is as follows: Suzuki and Saya Ida versus Hanako and Ann Kanai, Koguma versus Yuna Mizumori versus Uriah Hemi, EXV, Maika and Rian versus Aya Sakura and Akira Kuragani, the God's Eye team of Hina and Ron Yagami versus Sayaka Kurora and Tabata, the Stars team, Mayu Iwatani, Hanan, and Saya Ida teaming together once again against the God's Eye trio of Saki Kashima, Tomoka Inaba, and Lady C. Moonlight Venus, Mina Shirakawa, and Waka Tsukiyama, they're teaming together once more against the A team of Saya Kamatani and Konami. And then again, main event, Neo Genesis, Azumi, Meisera, Miyu Amasaki, and Suzu Suzuki versus Natsuko Tora, Ruaka, Rina, and Azusa Inaba. Matt, that Moonlight Venus versus Hate team match is going to be very, very good. I'm also really, really excited by the Stars versus God's Eye match and that Maika and Rian versus Aya Sakura and Akira Kuragani match.
Yeah, it all looks pretty solid, my friend. It all looks pretty solid. Excited to watch it and then come back next week and talk all about it with you, my good friend.
Absolutely. And just FYI, that opening match, Hazuki and Sayurida versus Hanako and Ann Kanai. I reckon that could be quite entertaining.
Sorry, Ann Kanai. Welcome to Stardom, kid.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, Corrigan Hall then on April the 2nd. It's another Stardom night show. We already knew that Saori Anou versus Tam Nakano was on the card and then announced at the press conference that we spent the bulk of the opening of the podcast talking about. We knew that it was going to be Mina Shirakawa versus Maika as well. We've also had announced Future of Stardom Championship match. Hina defending for the first time against CMLL's Tabata. Obviously, Tabata pinning Hina in the first round of the Cinderella tournament. Your semi-main event is going to be Neo Genesis, that quartet that I mentioned before, Meisera, Suzu Suzuki, Azumi, and Miyu Amasaki, taking on Saya Kamatani, Natsuko Tora, Ruaka, and Azusa Inaba. Elsewhere on the card, we have got the 10-woman tag between Stars and God's Eye, Mayu, Sairida, Hazuki, Koguma, Momo Kogo. They will be taking on Syuri, Saki Kashima, Lady C, Tomoka Inaba, and Rani Yagami. Syuri obviously making her return. And that is obviously a preview for the IWGP Women's Championship match. The return of the high-speed fairy Natsupoi will be on this card. I did forget to mention, by the way, that Natsupoi, Tam, and Saori Anou will all be absent from the show on the 30th because they are a part of the T-Heart's 5th anniversary show. The 6-woman tag is going to be Natsupoi, Aya Sakura, Sayaka Kurora. They're going to be taking on Hanan, Akira Kuragani, and Uriah Hemi. Watsukiyama, Hanako, and Rian, they're going to be taking on Konami, Tekla, and Rina. And then in your opener, a 3-way, Yuna Mizumori versus Ann Kanai versus Fukiken Death.
Fukiken Death, 3-way with a rookie, Corrigan Hall. We're a month away from Vegas, but all the money on Death.
Absolutely. Some really intriguing matchups there. Obviously, great to see Natsupoi back in the ring. Great to see Syuri back. That Stars versus God's Eye match is one to keep an eye on, certainly. That's it. That 3-way. That 6-woman as well, with Natsupoi being back. Natsupoi and Hanan could be intriguing. Could we see another Goddess of Stardom challenge? Maybe. That could be something to keep in the back pocket, I'm just saying. But again, we will be looking at that next week. Matt Turner, before we sign off, because somehow, despite the fact that we've only had 2 shows to go, we've still nearly gone 3 hours, because of course we have. It's time. Oh, it's time, brother, for Io and Kairi watch.
Again, this is why you should not only listen to audio, but video as well, is because there's going to be a little bit of a video Io and Kyrie watch at the end of this. So not too much with Io and Kyrie watch. We do have basically more build towards WrestleMania, as we had Io basically say she feels disrespected, that all the attention is on Bianca versus Rhea Ripley. She said she'll fight them both. We have an in-ring segment where basically anytime where the three girls wind up fighting, anytime Bianca got the offense, she got booed. Anytime Rhea got the offense, they were like, yeah, she's okay. But anytime Io did anything on the offense, got a massive pop. So I think this was in Scotland. So I think that, it seems like one Io is over in one hometown of the late, great Roddy Piper. So a really cool segment. Again, we're building towards what is going to be, or hopefully still will be, a three-way at WrestleMania. And the reason why I say hopefully is because this Monday on Monday Night Raw, Io is defending the title against Rhea Ripley, but Bianca Belair is the special guest referee. We all know how that goes in pro wrestling, Rob, that the referee calls it right down the middle. I'm hoping,
absolutely.
I'm 95.2% sure that it's going to end in a schmozz, and then that's going to really drive home the three-way. But I'm still a little bit worried that Io's going to drop the belt to Rhea, just because, do we get it 2 years in a row? Is it too good to be true? I don't know, but we shall see. But they're doing a good job building up that match for WrestleMania. Now, for our YouTube listeners, or YouTube watchers, look what I got in the mail last week, Rob Goodwin. The first Io Sky Pop. And I'm not going to lie, Rob, I bought two because this one is going to come out of the package. It's going to go right next to my Ricky the Dragon Steamboat Funko Pop that watches me while I do this podcast. And then the second one will obviously stay in said box. So, folks, get your Io Sky Funko Pops. They are available everywhere. So, you actually, if you want to, you can get them on Amazon, and then you can bulk order it with a couple books. Chasing the Dream and Living the Dream, all by that handsome gentleman you see right there with the phenomenal hairdo shirt. One Mr. Rob Goodwin.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings to an end this episode of the Stardom Cast. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as we've enjoyed recording it. If you haven't already, please consider giving us a subscribe on the podcast app or the podcast platform of your choice. We are literally everywhere. A comment and a 5-star review properly helps us out, helps us be exposed to the Joshi masses. It really does help us out. If you don't want to do that, you can go to our Patreon as well. If these episodes early and ad-free is something that you'd like, then you can join our Patreon, patreon.com/the Stardom Cast, where you can do that for as little as $1 a month. Just one. 25 cents a week. It really is a good deal, as well as a whole host of bonus content with Matt absolutely pumping that content out. You can also check out the website, talkjoshi.com, for all of the news and updates, history, stats, and all of our archived episodes from the world of Stardom, and indeed from Marigold as well. Find us on social media at the Stardom Cast, apart from the threads, the Instagram, and the Blue Sky, where you can find us at Talk Joshi. You can find me on Twitter. It's at Real Rob Goodwin. Mr. Matt Turner signs off, good sir.
Folks, questions, comments, suggestions, anything you need from me, a suggestion for a future Patreon episode. I'm easy to find, Matt Turner OF, on the Instagram, on the Twitter, on the Blue Sky, and the TikTok as well. However, you might be saying, Matt, I don't do social media. Is there any way I can get a hold of you? Maybe via the email system? Oh, we do have an email address. And the email address simply is thestardomcast22@gmail.com. Folks, that's going to wrap it up for another fun-filled episode of the Stardom Cast. We greatly appreciate your support. Can't do without you. We hope we all see you all in Vegas in just a few weeks' time. But like I always say, folks, it's just not my podcast. It's our podcast. Because we're all together. Everybody's different. Everybody's special.